everyone. Welcome to SingaCup. The eSingaCup Football Personality Award is to recognize the efforts of individuals of the SingaCup family that have made significant contributions or impact to the grassroots football scene in their home or adopted country. This year's recipient of the SingaCup Football Personality Award is none other than Jorge Marquez from Mexico, who has spent the last 7 years in Bandung, Indonesia, changing the lives of young children with the Free and Safe Foundation. Hello, Jorge. Happy to have you here. Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natasha. My name is Jorge Marquez from Mexico, and I'm the founder of Free and Safe Indonesia Foundation. It's a foundation that I open for the need of boys who don't have a place to live, a place to education. So I start using football to help them and provide for them to go to school, play football. And actually, I'm very proud to say that my boys, these are boys who their families make around $50 a month. So they are kids who are in another need financially. And I was able to bring them to SingaCup in 2017, and we won the SingaCup. So thank you so much to SingaCup for this award. I feel very special. I'm very blessed. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jorge. I think we just have some questions for you to find out a little bit more about yourself and the work you do. So tell us more a bit about how your career started and the opportunity you received to play football at a young age.
I grew up in Mexico until I was 20. And then when I was 20, there was this assistant coach from a team in the United States who saw me playing. And then he told me, do you want to go to play to America? And I was like, yeah, of course, right? It's like the American dream. So I was in America 5 years, and I played there in 2 different teams, one in Indiana and one in Oregon. And going to America, it changed my life. As a football player, you always think about performing, about being the best, of prepared to be the best. But when I was in America, I saw that so many people use football as the way to change lives. So in 2013, I came to Indonesia, and I saw so many kids cleaning cars in the stoplight or selling candies to the cars who get in a red light. And I was like, these kids should not be selling things or washing cars. These kids should be playing football. So that's how Free and Safe was born, for the need of many kids, for the need of kids to be playing. And how I started coaching was inside the juvenile prison. So I had a friend who was teaching English inside the prison. He told me, hey, Jorge, I teach inside the juvenile prison. Do you want to come? And I'm like, what? I was so interested for my friend going inside prison. So I was like, yeah, of course. So I went, and in the juvenile prison, there was 196 boys, normal boys. Maybe they are in prison because they made a mistake. But the truth is that these are normal kids, 14, 15, 16 years old, who deserve a second chance. So that's what we do at Free and Safe. I made a football team with them. We played the high school league. and I'm able to take them outside prison to play football games. And most importantly, I realized that these boys get rejected when they come out of prison. They cannot finish high school. They cannot get jobs. So that's why Free and Safe was created to help this need. Now we have a transition home. It's kind of a place where the boys live. We provide everything for them, football, we provide for them education to finish high school. And also the guys who already finished high school, if we can, we put them in universities or we find out jobs for them.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jorge. I think the work you do at Free and Safe is amazing. And I think there are many people, underprivileged people in Jakarta that could be benefiting from this as well. So I just want to understand a little bit more about what some of the sacrifices were for you. What were some of the sacrifices you had to make to be able to do the work you do right now?
So sorry, can you repeat it?
No problem. I would just like to find out what were some of the sacrifices you had to make to do the work that you're doing right now at Free and Safe.
Yeah, I mean, when you do something that you love, I think, you make sacrifices, but then you know what you're doing. You have a goal that for me right now is I love these boys and I will do anything I can for them. Of course, I think the biggest sacrifice is that Mexico, or my wife is from the United States. So for us, going home, it takes 30 hours to get home. And yeah, it's very difficult to be away from family. I have 2 daughters, 1 and 3. It's very difficult to see my daughters growing up without uncles or without grandmas. And I think our family, no struggle, but it's very difficult to be this far from family. And, maybe sometimes people don't realize we are not in family when it's graduation. So even like when my grandma died, you cannot go to funeral. So in the end, when I see these boys being transformed, boys after prison playing football, boys after prison willing to take advantage of the second chance, I think, it's when you get payback to see the transformation of these boys.
Okay, so I do want to ask a bit more about what or who motivates you to do what you do at Free and Safe Foundation. Would the boys be one of them, or do you have more motivations around that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, my wife, she's the one who had this crazy idea when she was in America. She had to make a report on an animal, and she chose the Komodo dragon. And she realized that the Komodo dragon is only in Indonesia. So then she had this fascination since she was a little girl about, wow, Indonesia has dragon. It must be the best country in the world. So then when she says that when she was in high school, etc., she started listening about, the tsunami hitting Indonesia and thousands of families died. And she heard about the bomb in Bali. And, she started listening to all these things happening in Indonesia, and she's like, wow, that's the country where is the Komodo dragon. So she said, I need to do something. Doing nothing is not an option. So in 2007, my wife came when she was still in college, and she came 6 weeks to Bandung, Indonesia. The same, she saw all these kids in the street, and she saw so much need, so many kids who needed maybe a father or a mother figure. And when she came, it transformed her life. And she said, after college, I need to come back to Indonesia. And the funny thing is, 2 weeks after, she came back to America from Indonesia. 2 weeks after, we met. And the rest is, history. So she's my motivation because she has this incredible heart for kids. And she was also helping in an orphanage 2 years. So the truth is, like, my motivation is kind of funny, but it's my wife. She's just the most caring and loving person I know.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jorge. I have one last question for you. Tell us how you're feeling to be this year's SingaCup Football Personality of the Year, and what message would you like to leave for our viewers, especially the viewers that are watching right now?
Yeah, so first, thank you so much. I feel like yeah, like it's incredible to be able to receive the award. I brought from Indonesia. I brought a team in 2014, 15, and 17. So I've been in the SingaCup 3 times, and it's incredible what you guys are doing. So that's what I feel very special, because there is so many people in Asia who is doing incredible things. Like in Thailand, there is this orphanage who also bring teams. And so it's so many incredible people who attend the SingaCup. And what I could say to other people is just use football as the way for a bigger end. So football should never be the end. You know, football is a way that we can help so many people. Of course, enjoy it, try to be the champion, but we should all see football as the way that we can help so many people. So thank you so much for this opportunity and for the award. I feel very loved and blessed from you guys.
Well, thank you, Jorge, and congratulations on the award once again.
Thank you.
No peak too high to reach, no roads too long to seek. The highest mountain we'll climb. Oh, no valley that's too deep, nothing we can't achieve, 'cause nothing's breaking our stride. Hey, here we go, sing a roar, take the lead, sing a more. Ole, 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 ole. Here we go, sing a cup, no we're not giving up. Ole, 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 ole. Na na hoo, na 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 hoo, na 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 hoo, na 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 yeah yeah yeah. Na na hoo, na na na
Hi, I'm Aysha, your host for today. Welcome to the eSingaCup 2020. Today our segment is called From ASEAN to Asian Football Powerhouse. So let me introduce you to our guest today. First, we have all the way from the Philippines, Greatwich, Academy Director of Kaya FC. From just across the causeway is Suthesh Nair, Head of NFDP Johor, who is also the scout for JDT Academy Football Club, and one of our own, Coach S. Subramani, Coach Education and Coach Developer, member of the FIFA Century Club. Welcome to our show today. We are very honored to have you. Thank you for taking the time for this webinar. Okay, so briefly, this webinar will be talking about youth football in general, and I'll ask you about your career, your experience, and just youth football in general for this session. Before we begin, maybe you can each of you just introduce yourself briefly about your background and just what you are doing now. Let's start with you first, Chris, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's nice to connect with all of you this morning. Yeah, a little bit about myself. In a previous life, I was a national team footballer, played for 10 years with the national team, 51 caps. Started off as the first Phil foreigner, as I was called, back in 2004, and was part of a wave of a generation of Philippine footballers who were born and raised abroad, who came to ply their trade in the Philippines. So I've seen a lot over my time being involved with the national team setup. And in 2013, I moved from my my job in the US, where I was working at the time, to come back to the Philippines to live here full time, to join the professional league as it was the UFL back in 2013, and then participate with the national team. But part of my remit was also to be the academy director of Kaya FC, which is one of the professional clubs here in the Philippines. So I was having a dual role of playing with the club and also being their academy director, and trying to hang on for dear life with the national team at that particular moment in time. I then retired from playing in 2012 and then became the head coach of Kaya in 2013. And I oversaw the first team operations for 3 years. We did particularly well. We won a couple of domestic cup competitions, as well as having a pretty good stint in the AFC Cup, although we were beaten rather heavily in the knockout rounds by JDT in our first ever AFC Cup soiree. And then more recently, I've been involved also with the full national team. So as the assistant coach with the men's national team, as well as continuing my role here with KFC Academy. So that takes me up to the present day. Yeah, just really enjoying working with the kids. That's something that I really enjoyed doing and very passionate about.
Okay. How about you, Coach Suthesh? Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thank you for this opportunity to be here. A little bit about myself. I'm a former player. Started with Johor. I'm born in Johor and raised there. So started my career there in the youth and as well climbed up to the senior level. And from there, I moved on to Penang. I was playing for Penang State for 2 years, and I was playing for Public Bank, the Super League, and also MKLand and Malacca, and had a career of more than 10 years in the Malaysian League. And I retired from football around 2006, and I was not involved in football after my career is over, and for I think close to 7 to 8 years. And when opportunity came in for me to go to JDT Football Club in the academy level, so I went in there. I've been around 4 years there with the JDT Academy. And I've got a national call-up for Merdeka and ASEAN Cup, actually, with the national team. Overall, I think that's about it. Now I'm also heading another program. They call it NFDP, National Football Development Program, which is national based, and in 14 states in Malaysia. So I'm actually heading the program in Johor. So I have around 9 centers to monitor, and we develop the coaches there through football education, and So my job is also moving from district to district to check on the centers and how the coaches were executing the program in Johor. Yeah, okay, I think that's about it.
Oh, big task that.
Yeah. Big task.
Okay.
Really.
Good money. How about you? Tell us about you.
Hi, Aysha. Thanks for having me. My name is Subramani. I'm a former national footballer. I was part of the national team since 1996 to 2007. During that period, I managed to play for the national team 115 times. So I got 115 caps with the national team. And at the same time, I was also a professional footballer playing for 2 clubs in Singapore, which is Johor Football Club as well as Home United Football Club. And after my playing career was over, then I went into coaching for a few years with Home United as an assistant coach. After which I joined the national setup, and I've been part of the various age group up to the senior level in terms of coaching till date. And currently, I'm also involved in the coach education setup since 2010. And our task now is to develop coaches to improve the level of football in Singapore. And at the same time, I'm also a lecturer in physical education at IT College Central, which is one of the technical institutions in Singapore. That is my current job. And on top of that, I'm still involved in football actively. Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll start with my first question. So you were all, I'll go with you one by one, all right? Okay, so you were all players before. So has it always been the plan to go into coaching after retiring as a player? I'll go with you first, Chris. Has it always been the plan?
Initially, when I first, made my progression from sort of youth team into professional football, it wasn't really the plan. I think I was quite a difficult young footballer to handle as a coach, and I maybe had a few issues with authority. So I never really foresaw myself becoming a coach per se in my formative years as a footballer. But as I grew older, I really enjoyed any opportunity that I had to work with young people. I really enjoyed being on the grass and imparting some of the knowledge that I'd learned over time through my professional football career. And as I got older, I found myself wanting to learn a little bit more about why coaches adopted a certain approach, or why certain sessions will be put on in a specific way. And I sort of accidentally fell into that space. And then I really sort of honed my skills when I moved to America. I moved to America and coached there, and we were delivering 3-4 sessions a day, every day for 45 weeks of the year, and that's really how you sharpen your tools as a coach. And actually, I sort of moved away from the playing side and really focused more on the coaching side. But it was only a fortuitous change of luck that enabled me to come back to playing. So at that point in 2013, when I came back to the Philippines, the opportunity to play and then temper that with building KFC Academy, which at the time was very small, was the perfect synergy of roles for me. So although I didn't anticipate me becoming a coach when I first started my professional journey, it's something that I fell into and now really, really enjoy. So no, I don't think I was always destined to be a coach, but it's something I'm really thankful that I fell into.
Oh, great. It's very interesting. Coach Suthesh, you mentioned that you had a gap where you were not involved in football, but was coaching something that you have always had in mind when you were playing, maybe?
Yes, actually, I used to talk to my coaches, and I had some very good coaches who are very patient. I think some of them very big name, Jita Singh from Singapore, And Steve Darby was my coach back then. Sukumaran, Juan Jama, and Elwarasan, and all these people. I can always consult them, and also I check with them why they do certain things this way and that way. Like how Chris was mentioning just now, as we get older, we get more involved. We start to just not think of first as a player. We start to think more, and that's when the questions came in, and I was really interested back then to know how things work. So that's how like you were asking me just now, the gap. Yes, during this moment, I was coaching in an academy, in a private academy, on Saturday and Sundays, and that's when I think in 2012, the Crown Prince of Johor, TMJ, he embarked on a grand plan to. He became the president of Johor Football Association, and he combined the professional teams under one roof, and he started to build things from the grassroots. So that's the moment I thought, this is a moment for me to come into the JDT family. And also he really welcomed former players, former Johorians and all that. So that's how I got involved back into football again in a serious way.
Yeah, must be very exciting for you. You are Johor through and through, right?
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay, Coach Mani, how about you? When you were playing, did you ever think that you would be a coach one day?
To be very frank, Aysha, it was not part of my plan going into coaching. Perhaps when I was playing for United, I was also the captain for the club. And because of my experience as well as the captaincy, they offered me the coaching role after my retirement in 2009. So I went into coaching as an assistant coach with the first team. But to be honest, I did not enjoy my coaching stint the first few years of my coaching because of the things was happening. And I'm actually, as a player, was very particular about discipline and how to look after yourself as a footballer. That was my key things. But what I saw when I went into coaching was otherwise, and that really put me off. So after 2 years, I told myself, perhaps this is not what I wanted to do. So I had this opportunity to move into teaching. That's when I went into my current job, which was teaching. And I'm here for almost 10 years now. But of course, football has been always part of me ever since young. So I still cannot move away from football one way or another. So I still was involved in coaching with the national setup from under 23 to all the way to the national setup till today. And also at the same time, I'm also involved in the coach education segment. Yep, that is my part in terms of football currently.
I think for Singapore especially, we need people like you to keep you around. Okay, Chris. So compared to Singapore and Malaysia, football isn't really the number one sport in the Philippines. So what do you think about football in the Philippines now compared to when you were playing? Has it improved or? Yeah,
it's very different. It's very different, the landscape of football in terms of the national team. So when I first came, for example, back in 2004, I was pretty much the only player who was born and raised abroad. Most of the guys who played on the national team were from local institutions, colleges, universities, or from the armed forces. So I was pretty much the only one who was born and raised abroad. If you look at our national team now, everyone's from Germany, Switzerland, UK, America. There's very few homegrown talents that are in the current national men's setup. So in that regard, it's completely different. Unfortunately, at the grassroots level, very little has changed. As you said, one of the issues that we have here in the Philippines is that it's not the number one sport. We have to play second fiddle to basketball. Obviously, everyone's big on boxing here. So traditionally, all of the best athletes are obviously pushed towards basketball. So that is one of the big issues that we have here in the Philippines. The other issue that we have here is it's typically a more affluent sport. So most of the kids that come through the system have a tendency to come from more affluent backgrounds. So we're missing out on an entire subset of individuals from a specific demographic, which if you look at it across the globe, majority of the players, for example, if you come from Latin America, if you come from Europe, most of them come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So we prototypically don't have players from that particular demographic. So that in itself means that we are working with a smaller pool of players who we can potentially have at the grassroots level. And then finally, there's definitely a lack of recreational facilities that we have here, which means that the opportunities, especially where I live here in Manila, there is a dearth of just open space and open greenery where people can play. So it's very hard for you to develop your skills outside of more formal settings. So the majority of the football that is being played is actually in structured environments. So things like your schools or in your formal trainings that you have with your clubs. Now, again, if you look at most of how players develop across the globe, a lot of it is learnt on the streets, in the playgrounds, in the cages. And unfortunately, that type of culture just isn't here in the Philippines. So those are some of the problems that we have here in the Philippines. And it hasn't really changed in my time that I've been living here since 2013. And unfortunately, that's had a knock-on effect with the grassroots development. I mean, there are a few clubs like myself here at KFC that are trying to develop things, but those clubs are quite few and far between. So in terms of grassroots development, there actually hasn't been too much change, unfortunately, in the period since I retired from playing.
Okay. Well, I guess at least that there are more kids started to play football now compared to before when you were playing, right, in the Philippines. So
I would say there are more kids that are playing. It's just a case of trying to harness them and having them participate to try to develop them onto the next level, because that's something that we're seeing a lot of now. There's the YFL Youth League that's been set up. Some of the teams have been participating in your SingaCup tournaments over recent years. But yeah, it's more a case of across the whole island, it's just been difficult to continue that progression that we've seen from the men's level. It hasn't really trickled down to the grassroots level as such.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Coach Suthesh, as you know, JDT is a big team in Malaysia and South Asia. So and as we know, only JDT in Malaysia that has a proper football development program, right? As for a club in Malaysia. So what do you think is the key to having a good development program, a good development setup in Malaysia? Do you think it's important to have a good support from the owner or good facilities? What do you think is the factor?
Okay, actually, my view is, when TMJ took over, the Crown Prince took over the club, he had a clear vision and philosophy, and he started to bring in good people. Currently, the technical director, Alistair Edwards, and also development manager, Coach Suku, who is also vastly experienced in youth development and also at the senior level. And we had many good people that he brought into the setup, and also with the coaching development, and it goes hand in hand with the infrastructure. All this plays a big part. So to answer your question, in Malaysia, if you want to have a pathway from the academy level, from the grassroots to the senior level, yes, JDT is the only club who provide that at the moment, from under 12 up to the senior level. They play the same football, the philosophy. I mean, the coaches and all that must fall in line with the philosophy of the club. So, and also TMJ, he handpicked the coaches from Spain, from Valencia Football Club. And what's happening here also, the local coaches were given a lot of help through coach education, and you know, for the coaching license and all that were paid by the club actually. So it's a thorough development from the coaching side, plus also on the I mean, on the infrastructure and good facilities and all that. You know, over the years from 2012, it has been a lot of good development on that side. But I would like to add in uh, coaching. I mean, for the youth development, running parallel is also, they call it Academy Moqtadari, which is it's a nationwide program, which is I'm part of as well. They call it National Football Development Program, running in 14 states. Currently, they have in Johor we have 9 centers, and it's the same in every state. So they follow the same way, and this is to find the best in Malaysia that will go into Academy Moqtadari. And they have layers actually. They have Federal Sports School and State Sports School, and also they have PLDs, which is 13 to 17 years old. And also there's another center, they call it Academy Tunas, which is 7 to 12 years old. So altogether around 12,000 kids are in this program, and also around 610 coaches in this program. So this is real football education nationwide from the from the NFDP program. But for club, if you want to find a pathway for a player from the academy straight to professional level, yes, JDT is the club that is doing this. But Selangor and Felda United and all these clubs, they are also they have this plan as well, but they are far behind from what JDT is doing currently with the vision of the Crown Prince. Okay, that's about it. Yep.
Okay, that's all great examples, I think, for everyone in around Southeast Asia. Well, but how about Singapore, Coach Mani? What are the efforts being done there to develop football from the grassroots?
To be frank, the current state of Singapore football is not optimal. As you know, in the recent results from the various competition, we have not been doing well as compared to our regional friends. But having said that, there are plans in plan where we hope to change the whole ecosystem of Singapore football. It's one of the areas which we have neglected so far is the youth development stage. I think this is one of the important areas which we have to focus on currently, because what's happening now is players are being injected into the senior level quite early. There's no proper development, and there's no plans for them and preparation for them to be able to cope with the pressure and the expectation in terms of higher level football. So because of this, we have a challenge in terms of national setups. And of course, due to the lack of football education in Singapore and lack of emphasis on youth development, there are talents which have been neglected, or chances are some of them are moving out of the system because of this. And of course, knowing Singapore, there are high emphasis in terms of education rather than sports. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of talents has been moving away from sports, in particularly football. So that's one of the areas which currently FAS together with Singapore Sports are planning to revamp the whole issues. They have brought in a new technical director from Australia. He, together with a team of coaches as well as staff, coming up with plans to revamp the whole ecosystem in Singapore. Hope this whole thing can change and finally be able to bring our football back to where it was many years back. Because when I was playing, of course, football was at a stage where it was doing well regionally, and we have been winning competition regionally. But once we reached the millennium years and things have been going downward, so hope this whole thing can be changed very soon and we can bring the excitement back to Singapore football again.
Okay, hopefully. So it's clear that it is a different landscape of football in Philippines, Singapore, and as well as Malaysia, right? So, Chris, do you for your program for the kids, who do you look at, for your program? Do you look at teams in Southeast Asia or abroad? What is your model, do you think?
Well, I mean, I've been very fortunate to have grown up in the UK system, coached in the US, and obviously spent a lot of time here in Asia. So I've got a number of different influences, and I've been very fortunate to have worked under many different coaches with different philosophies, different ideas, different theories. One of the things I think you have to take into account when you're in a role like mine, whether it be a director role of a club or whether you're overseeing a group of teams or a region or a country in any kind of directorial role, is understanding the nuances of the group that you're working with, understanding the landscape of the country that you're in, and then obviously trying to tailor that to fit it as best as possible. So one of the things I've noticed is there's a lot of coaches that have come to the Philippines. I'm sure it's probably the same in Singapore and in Malaysia. And without understanding the culture, without understanding the ethos, without understanding the nuances of each individual country, they've tried to instill their philosophy and not understood why it hasn't worked. So, for example, with the Philippines, we have huge issues being an archipelago. So just traveling from island to island is very, very difficult. So, having a cohesive, systematic approach to football and try to collaborate with each individual regional FA is very, very difficult. I'd imagine it's much easier in Singapore, where travel is more freely possible. There isn't so many traffic issues, things such as this. So understanding the nuances of each individual country, I think, is really, really important. And then trying to, for me, for example, it did take me a long time to actually figure out how the landscape of Philippine football worked at the grassroots level, and then try to understand the political issues, because that's a very difficult landscape to try to navigate. And then from there, formulate my own philosophy, pulling from my experiences as a player, pulling from my experiences with different coaches and their philosophies, understanding the culture of the club. Obviously, we have to adhere to the culture of what in my instance, what my chairman is wanting. With JDT, I'm sure you have to deal with the Crown Prince and what his ideas and what his philosophies and what his ethos is. So blending that all together and trying to find the formula that works. And as well as that, obviously putting on your own imprint as an academy director in the style of which you want to play. So, I wouldn't say it's a specific style. It's more of a hybrid of all of the things that I've experienced, looking at the type of player that the Philippines can produce. So typically quite small, agile, dynamic type players, and then molding that into a philosophy that works for our organization. So in answer to your question, I would say ours is more of a hybrid style. It isn't necessarily something that's uniquely British or uniquely Spanish in its origin. It's more of a hybrid that I think is unique to the Philippines, and hopefully is something that we can continue to replicate throughout all of our underage age groups.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Philippines eventually will have their own identity, right? And that is very important. Okay, Coach Suthesh, so as a coach of young players, right, what are the factors that these young players need, besides the technical abilities to hopefully one day be a good player? What does a player need? Good mentality, the diet. What else are you teaching them at JDT?
Okay, actually, first of all, we want them to be good people with good values. That's what we teach them here in the academy. But at the same time, we also talk to them, instill in them to be better players by constantly improving where they are lacking, and also to be in JDT, you need to have certain standards. So they have to, mold their characters, all this, Example also, like the first team players, they will regularly come to the academy and, talk to the players and, motivate them and all that. And also this to also let the players in the academy know that one day you can reach that height, and it's very much possible. And these professional players have done it, but you need to have certain attitudes, towards having that sporting life, and also to play in a big club like JDT, you need strong mentality, especially the expectation and all that. So this is what also we instill in them. And the other thing is, the JDT attitude is to win, but to win in the right way. So all these, all these characters, examples, we give them, and we slowly instill in them this behavior. So, and also the diet and all that. I think every club has that with the diet, but these are the other things that we also instill in them. Yep.
How about in Singapore, Coach Mani? Is it the same? Is that what they're doing too?
Aysha, the thing is that in Singapore, I think we are trying to blend our own DNA because we have a different culture here in Singapore with different nationalities, different races. So we have to blend them into our football as well. I always believe in terms of players, not all talented players and gifted players are able to form a good team. Definitely, they need to have certain values like how Suthesh mentioned earlier, values like positive attitude as well as good work ethics. It's very important for young players as well as players in general. I think in order to form a team comprising of good players, it is very essential for us to have this attitude and values, especially whether they are following the coach's instructions and how they deal with pressures and failures, all important. And whether are they able to work together as a team. Because in a team, then naturally there'll be some egos and different cultures. How we are able to bring this together is the key ingredients to form a successful team. I think that's one of the areas which I guess here we are trying to work because of the different cultures we have. But having said that, currently, like I mentioned earlier, we have our new technical director on board. He's coming out with a new philosophy as well as football structure here in Singapore, which we quite recently we discussed about this thing with a panel of coaches. And I guess a lot of things are in place, but it will take some time for us to really see the fruit of this labor. As we know, in football, there's no shortcut for success. We have to be patient, and I'm sure with all the things are in place, we need to really give ourselves some time to see the difference, and hopefully can bring football to the place where we used to be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Chris, this question for you, all of you, but I'll start with Chris first. What is it that, as a coach and as an academy director now, what is it that it may not happen yet, makes you happy and proud to see when it happens? What do you think?
Oh, tough question. I think, especially when you work with children, I think the most important thing really is to see the development of the kids, and that can take shape in a number of different ways. So, as an example, if you're working with low-level players or grassroots or recreational players, just seeing them train with a smile on their face, see them enjoy playing the game, see them having fun with their friends, seeing them interact. I think that's something that I get immense joy from, and it's unbridled. It's very pure, and that's something that I really enjoy about working with. At the very basic grassroots level, that's something that I get a lot of pride out of doing my role as an academy director. And then, as you go through that system, it's definitely on a spectrum, because you also want to see players fulfill their potential. So, seeing them succeed, for example, if they manage to break into the youth national teams. I think we had a number of our kids that broke into the youth national teams this year, and that gave me immense pride to know that we had them from a 6, 7, 8-year-old and see them develop to play in their under 15s, under 17s, at the underage level. I think that's a tremendous achievement. And then obviously seeing kids develop to realise their full potential. So whether it's they go off to college, whether they play at the SEA Games level, where they go on to progress into the men's national team. These things give me immense pride, and that's the reason why I think as coaches, we do the job that we do, because we do want to see that development, and that development can take shape in a number of different ways. But that's what gives me personal pride. That's what gives me joy in the job that I do, because I think football, going to your sort of previous question, I think football teaches you so many life lessons. So it's not necessarily just about the football side. It's about using football as the vehicle to teach them about life, because at the end of the day, we're not just trying to develop them as footballers. I think we're trying to develop them as human beings. So teaching all of these other things through football, things like respect, good manners, sportsmanship, teamwork, all of these things you can learn a number of different ways. But for me, the best way to learn all those things is through sport, and my favourite sport is football. So I think that's really important, that you don't lose sight of the bigger picture. And as for me, that's the main reason why I got involved in coaching is to use football as that vehicle to help, hopefully, just develop these kids and enrich their lives as a whole, not just to develop good footballers.
Okay, how about you, Suthesh? You maybe have a different view, because football, there's such a high expectation in Malaysia. What is it that when it happens, you feel that is a big achievement, or an achievement for you personally? Is it when your player gets a call up in the national team, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at this moment, we have some examples of the player from the academy who are, playing in JDT2, the professional level. So it's a huge satisfaction to see them there. And I mean, basically we look at the level of if you're in the grassroots, like what Chris was telling, if the player develops, even in a small way, we are happy about it. But when it comes to elite level, they have a target and all that. So when we see them move from the lower level and slowly they climb the ladder up to the senior level, it is a lot of satisfaction to see them grow. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. For Coach Mani, you're teaching, right? So maybe you especially have a different take on this. I mean, what is what makes you proud when something happens with what you're doing?
For me, I would say I would love to see the culture back in Singapore, football culture back in Singapore. And those were the days where everybody will be talking about football, practically every household. And when you go out to the neighborhood, you can see people talking about football and kids playing around with the ball. That used to be more exciting at that point in time. But that has been missing to a certain extent now. I hope we can bring this culture back, because football is the only sport I believe can touch a lot of people in Singapore. And that's the only sport which can attract thousands of fans into the stadium. So I guess the overemphasis in terms of education, which is also killing this element of sports in Singapore. I hope this can change soon, and at the same time, not only developing a footballer, but at the same time a good human being. That is very important for us, because not all footballers were able to play to a certain number of years. But of course, they have to take another spectrum where they have to go into other careers as well. So eventually, if you are able to prepare a good human being, a good a player, then that will set a tone for them to carry on for the rest of their life, which is very important. Because like I said, in Singapore, education is also important. At the same time, we also need to focus on sports so that at least we can give them a holistic development in that area. That is something which I'm always looking forward to. And given an opportunity, that's one of the areas which I would like to develop in Singapore. Yep.
Okay. All right. I think we'll reach the final question for today. So, Chris, what is your dream for Philippines football as a whole? The dream. What do you want to see?
The dream. My dream is to keep Singapore where they're at. I don't want them to come back up again. I can't be dealing with that anymore. They can stay where they are. No, I think the dream for Philippine football, again, I have to look at this from all different angles. I think for the national team, it's to continue to progress. You know, we've seen them make great strides. Obviously, making the Asian Cup was a huge milestone for the national team. It was the culmination of a lot of hard work, and to be involved with the coaching staff and actually go to Dubai for the competition was an amazing experience. To work with Sven Goran Eriksson and to have someone like of his caliber, you know, take the team. I mean, that was unthinkable when I first started. You know, to have someone of that pedigree to be involved with our national team. It was quite a surreal experience. So, you know, for us to continue that development, Scott Cooper's doing a great job. I think now he's a great coach, so hopefully he can continue to take the national team on. So that's just going to be a natural progression, I hope. And we're churning out players from abroad on a regular basis, so that conveyor belt will keep hopefully yielding some really good positives. But I think in order for us to progress, we still need to work on the grassroots initiatives to restore a little bit of parity between those guys who are born and raised abroad compared to the guys that we have who are being raised here in the Philippines, because that's really where the disparity lies. And that's, if I'm being honest, that's where there's been a little bit of discontent amongst the Philippine football community, because I think, you know, while our identity now is quite clear on the pitch, it's not great off the pitch. We've lost that connection, I think, with the general football fan here in the Philippines. And we've actually seen that with, you know, a lack of interest really with the national team in terms of spectators for our domestic league, etc. So from my perspective, I would love to see that developed a little bit more. So the grassroots initiatives have more money and more investment, getting more coach developers in at the grassroots levels to try to level up the youth segment of the national program. And then the development of the national league here, unfortunately, that seemed to have had a backward step in recent years. So hopefully the National League can find a more even footing, and we can potentially have an opportunity for those talents that are coming through the pathway to ply their trade here in the Philippines and have a bona fide professional league. Because at the moment it's a little bit fractious, and it's a little bit, it's not a great position at the moment with the National League, and obviously the COVID situation hasn't helped. So my hope is that we can come out of this COVID situation with some semblance of a professional league, and hopefully continue to progress that, because I think in recent years, you look at clubs like Ceres, for example, you know, they've been very dominant on the Southeast Asian stage, and certainly one of the premier teams in the region. But even they folded during the course of this pandemic. So, you know, how will the club level here in the Philippines develop? That's what I would like to see. Hopefully find a more even footing, because without the structured grassroots initiatives and without a bona fide professional league, it's going to be very difficult for the Philippines to continue to progress at the rate that it has done. So yeah, that's really my dream is to make sure that those things are in place in order some sort of level of sustainability here in the country.
testing started yet there for you? I mean, are they started training?
No, so the kids are they're still locked up. So all of our sessions are done via virtual sessions. We have the odd sort of one-to-one sessions that we can conduct in one of the very few recreational facilities that we have. But the league is about to start. So in 2 weeks' time, I think the league is about to start. So the professional clubs have been training, but they haven't kicked off yet. So we have to wait and see. It's been a long time. It's been a very difficult period for all of us. But other countries seemingly have got their leagues together a little bit quicker than we have. Hopefully, we can rectify that soon and see some domestic football here in the Philippines, because it has been a long time since we've been able to see domestic football here.
Yeah. Okay. So Coach Suthesh, what is it that in Malaysia that needs to change or improve for it to get to where you think they should be? So much potential.
Yeah, that's right. If you ask any fan or players or coaches, they want to see the country at the world level, playing the World Cup and all this stuff. But let's be realistic here. You have to go step by step. And currently in Malaysia, the latest development is under FAM, they have the F30, which is the plan up to 2030. And they have 3 phases in this plan. And that's where, the first phase is to develop the coaches and at the development level, grassroots and all that, and also infrastructure. And the second phase is this is around 7 years. And after that, they'll be focusing to do well in Asia. And the next, before 2030, they would like to reach the world level. But as I am part of FAM as well, as I'm a coach developer as well for grassroots. So it's a lot of hard work moving forward. But we are working on that, So like what I was telling you, here in the coaching development, JDT as a club, they are doing their job very well. And also AMD, NFDP, they are doing it nationwide. And FAM, they are pushing all the grassroots clubs, community clubs to be registered and to streamline them. So it's a nationwide effort, actually. We have a big plan and a lot of hard work moving forward. So my dream is kind of connected to this, If the plan really works, probably we will achieve our dream by 2030. Yep. So that's what's happening in Malaysia currently.
Okay. All right. I think we have come to the end of this show. I'm out of questions. Well, I wish we had more time because, youth football is an interesting discussion. All right. So I hope football starts for you in Philippines and Singapore soon. I think we all need that. That is, but thank you for your time and great sharing today. I wish you all good luck. And with you, Chris, with Kaya, and Coach Money, with whatever you're doing, and I'm sure it's good for the whole football in Singapore. And Coach Suthesh too, with JDT. Hopefully, the dreams come true. Okay.
This is the place I call home.
Our home. This is where we live amongst trees and carve them out of metal. Where impossibilities lead us to endless possibilities. This is where all that you're passionate about, all that drives you, is made possible. This is where passion is made possible.
big hello to our SingaCup family in Singapore. Namaste, this is Sunil Chhetri. These are unprecedented times. Let us all unite, persevere and protect ourselves and our loved ones. Catch me live on Wednesday, 4th of November as SingaCup celebrates 10 years of footballing excellence. Also, eSingaCup 2020 comes to you every day from the 31st of October to 4th of November. See you soon.
We are very happy that we have the support of the club, and we are very happy that we have facilities, and the children love football. So whenever we come with football, they want to join, they want to be part of what we're doing. So for us it's a great benefit to have for this special day today, to have friends, guests here that observe and support, and we want to thank SingaCup for their involvement and for their heart. Yes, to see football be played better, that is important, but we want to use football for social change, and thank you for coming and supporting and giving us additional emotional support.
The tournament's been fantastic in terms of a development tool for young players. It's fantastic. It gives them game time opportunity, and in terms of tactically, it lets them understand the game better. So it's 11v11 football. Technically, there's some excellent players, really, really good. But in terms of their own development, they need to play good quality games of football, and that's what the SingaCup offers to them. I think in terms of raising the profile of not only players in Singapore, all across Asia, it's a fantastic tournament.
No one comes back fully from an ACL injury. That's what everyone tells me. So definitely, no one comes back from 2 ACL injuries. Everybody said my career was over, that I would never play again, that I won't be able to kick the ball again. They said that I will never be the same again. Then I heard the voices of my wife and kids. They wanted me to be on the field. They kept asking me when I will be on the field again. For them, I made myself a promise. I don't want just to be back to my best again. I want to be better than my best. I ignored my critics and I took their words as motivation instead. Motivation to work even harder. Every single day, from 8 AM to 5 PM, I was in the gym. In the morning, I was doing knee rehab, then lunch, power nap. 2 PM, continued with upper body workout and ended it with icing and stretching. Monday to Saturday for about a year. To be even stronger than I ever was, I needed to go further. I met a nutritionist, a sports psychologist, and doctors. I also did my own research and learned much more about nutrition and sports science in order to make my comeback. To change my story, I had to change my life. I prioritized sleep, rest, yoga, strength and conditioning work. Before my ACL, I didn't care about watching my diet. But now, I make sure I eat good, healthy and proper food. I was becoming physically and mentally stronger. But things got harder. In 2013, I finally got back to the field. My performance was bad. I conceded a lot of goals. I was rusty due to the long layoff and being out of action for so long. My critics were having the last laugh. So what did I do? I do what I always do. I put my head down and got back to work. My newfound knowledge and wisdom gave me the mental strength to keep going. I continued to learn new things. I repeated the same recovery training again and again. My family was watching and waiting, so I kept going. The hard work finally paid off. In 2014, I won the league with Warriors FC. I won the Player of the Year in the S League. I even got an offer to play overseas in Thailand for Army United for 2 years. In 2015, I was voted Goalkeeper of the Year by Goal Thailand. And then, while playing for Home United, I had an unfortunate accident. I had a head collision with a player from the opponent. I broke my nose. Was in a concussion for around 2 to 3 hours. The doctor said I would be out for at least 3 months. So what did I do about it? I did nothing different. Because what happens to you doesn't define you. It's what you do that defines you. My name is Hassan Sunil. My question to you is, what would you do?
everyone, and welcome to the SingaCup 2020. To everyone watching, the SingaCup is an annual youth football tournament hosted in Singapore since 2011. And this year, the SingaCup is celebrating its 10th year anniversary. And with all the things going on in the world, they have put on a positive spin by reinventing themselves and creating the eSingaCup virtual event. I'm Natasha Alquiros, and it's an honor to introduce everyone to three of the best Southeast Asian players that will be joining us for today's special episode. First up, we have Hassan from Singapore, who has had playing stints in Thailand and currently playing for SPL club Lion City Sailors, and of course, a mainstay for the Singapore national team. In 2016, the UK-based The Telegraph ranked him number 18 on its list of the world's top 20 goalkeepers. Second, we have Stephan Schrock from the Philippines. Schrock started his playing career in Germany and played in the Bundesliga. Currently, Schrock is playing in the Philippine Football League. He is captain for both the Philippine club United City and the Philippine national team. Schrock played a crucial role in United City, then named Ceres Negros, to win 3 consecutive PFL titles from 2017 to 2019 and received numerous awards in 2019, including Golden Ball Award. Last but not the least, we have Luong Xuan Truong from Vietnam. Truong has had stints playing in the top league in Korea and Thailand, and currently playing for V-League club Hoang An Gia Lai. Truong also plays for the national team. He played a pivotal role for Vietnam in winning the AFF Championships and helped the Vietnam U23 team secure the silver medal at the AFC U23 Championships in 2018. So Hassan, Schrock, and Truong, welcome to the show. Thank you for making the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Natasha. Nice seeing you again.
Nice to see you too.
Nice to see you guys.
And each of you, let's go straight into it. Each of you has had experiences playing away from home. What are the challenges that you had to face? Perhaps we could start with you, Hassan, who of course played in the Thai league.
It's never easy being in a foreign country. And when I was in Thailand, I consider myself as a foreigner. And although I'm in ASEAN, so it doesn't really, it doesn't have a vast difference when I play in Singapore and Thailand, in terms of culture-wise. But football-wise is a big difference. And so knowing that, when I was there, I was a foreigner, and I had to step up a level ahead of the locals. Because I have to be better than locals, you see. If not, then what's the point of having me there? And so eyes, when you are a foreigner in the team, eyes are everywhere. Locals, the management will look at you 24/7, know what you do off the field, what you do on the field. So obviously expectations are very high. And once you slack or even 10% or 5%, then they'll question you. Then they will have talks on, let's bring in a new foreigner, like that. So I took that as a positive. I took that very positively. I said, okay, why not? With this, I can be a better player. So it keeps me on my toes every time. Even in training, I feel like I treat it as a game. So yeah, so I can safely say that I improved a lot when I was there, because all these small little details played a big part.
Luong Truong, of course, you've played in the K-League and in the Thai League. So what are some of the challenges that you had to face playing away from home?
Well, I think, honestly, it was a great experience for me, I believe. And honestly, it was also a very, very hard time in my career so far. But if I have to choose again whether to go or not, I would say yes. And I think the most difficult thing for me is how to settle my life there as quick as possible, because you know that for K-League Classic, and I come from a lower level than lower level league than K-League Classic. So you cannot say that you're gonna do exactly the same what you have done so far in Vietnam. No, so you have to push yourself a lot because Korean football style is about speed, physical strength, power. I think it's very, very tough for me that time.
Definitely, and you were able to play there for 2 seasons. How about when you moved on in playing for Buriram in the Thai League?
The time Buriram was also a good experience, but that time I was at not my best. So, well, I would say that I was not successful there. So I came back to V-League this season and continue my career in Vietnam.
All right. And how about for you, Schrock? This time around, I'll switch the question up. You came from a top league in Germany. What challenges did you face moving to a developmental league in the Philippines?
There's always changes, regardless if you go from Bundesliga to the Philippines or coming from Vietnam going to the K-League. There's always challenges, but you have to embrace it and you have to face it right on. The bottom line was the league was not so organized, maybe as in Germany. The training facilities are lacking here and there of the right equipment, of the right environment for the athletes here. But there is no such big deal for me. You go on, you take the challenge right on, and then you perform at your best. Simple as that.
Definitely, as you said, of course, wherever you go, there will always be challenges. And of course, despite these challenges, how are you guys able to maintain your focus and, of course, motivate yourself to get better and continue to produce top quality performances? Let's start with you, Hassan.
First thing first, I think we have to take care of ourselves in terms of what we eat and the proper nutrition, proper sleep, sufficient rest, and not so much of late nights. I took good care of myself because I know that I have to be better than the players there, and because like I said, eyes are everywhere. If you are found in one of the nightclubs, just imagine that, and what would the locals say, So, that's why I said that I took it positively, and like I said, there will be people or there will be players looking at you, and if you lead by example, you will be a good role model. So that's why I had to behave myself in order for me to show a good example to the younger ones.
Definitely very important. Of course, as you said, when you treated every game and every training like your game, that's really what pushes you to that next level to make sure that you maintain that performance that you had all throughout your career. Okay, how about for you, Truong?
Well, I had to spend a lot of time out of the pitch when I was in K-League Classic because of my injury. That time, everything seemed to be very, very bad to me. And I thought that I could not move on, but I just told myself that just try the best I can, even I don't get good results, but at least I don't give up. And at the end of the season, I had opportunities to play the last few games of the league. Those were very difficult matches for Incheon United, which means that you have to win to maintain the team position so that you won't get relegation. And I did pretty well. So yeah, I wouldn't have this kind of opportunities if I did give up. So yeah.
Definitely inspiring. And how about for you, Schrock?
Well, motivation is a thing that comes and goes. You have days where you don't want to get out of the bed, or you have days where everything you want to touch or want to do is related to football. But it's a discipline basically that keeps you in a good performance, in a good, sharp physical condition. And in the end, it's all in your head. You tell yourself you're feeling shit, and you're feeling shit. But if you tell yourself you're willing to work hard, you tell yourself every morning you're not there yet where you want to be, then it's not a big deal, not a big problem to get up every morning and do what you love and do where your passion lies. So simple as that. You go tell yourself you want to be successful, then you will be successful.
Great insight to that. And of course, all of you have all played very impactful roles when it comes to the national team. What are some of the traits and habits that you need to build to be able to be the best in the country? Truong?
Yeah, of course. You always have to be fresh, always have to be ready all the time, because you are doing the job which 1,000 players out there want to do. It's about playing for the national team, it's national duty. Yeah, obviously, such a great honor. But in the other hand, if you don't take the chance and you make a lot of mistakes during the games, you might not have any chance again. So I think one of the best habits you should have is being positive and never give up. Try hard all the time, and you will get good results. And but also you have to be yourself always. You're not trying to be someone else, and I think you don't need to push yourself too much, because you will also take care, focus 100% for football, and don't get any distraction from outside.
And how about for you, Schrock?
To create habits, you have to have a good mindset. You really want to do what no one did in the country. So in the national team, that comes together the best 22, 23 players, or even 30 on a camp. And you see there is a lot of crafty young kids gunning for your spot. And then there is your discipline. Every morning you get up, every day you do your best, you train hard, you sacrifice a lot. You will not get to see the family that often. You will not get to taste the food you want to eat. You might not get to drink the beers you want to drink in the evening. So there is a lot of sacrifices on the way. But me, honestly, seeing every day challenging with the best players in the country makes me want to go on top every single year. So I'm not setting up for be maybe the best in the last 5 years or 6 years, or one of the best. I'm setting up to be the greatest Philippine football player there ever been. And therefore, I sacrifice a lot. I work triple amount of each player in the country and outside of the country with a Filipino passport. That's why the habits and the discipline keep you on the track and make you successful in the end of the day.
Hassan, what do you believe are the traits and habits that a player would need to build to be able to be the best in the country?
First thing first, you must have pride representing the nation. When you don the national team jersey, you have to know that it means a lot to yourself. And out of, let's say, Singapore, we don't have that many people, like let's say 5 million. Like you, for myself, like if I'm in goal, means I'm the only chosen one to be in goal out of 5 million. So I have to know all this, that I must appreciate the opportunities given. So in return, I have to return the favor by giving everything for the country. So it's all about pride. It's all about how you appreciate the opportunity given.
Definitely love the positive aspect to your mental state, to making sure that you, like, as I said, you've been like the number one goalkeeper for Singapore, has one of the most caps for Singapore as well. And as we talk about that, you're considered a veteran national team player. And so how do you push yourself and of course your teammates to get to that next level?
I grew up in a different environment as compared to the younger players nowadays. I grew up washing my senior players' boots when I was young, and I thought that, initially I thought there was a torture, but then again it taught me how to take care of myself, how to take care of my boots, how to take care of my gloves. So, like they said, your boots or your gloves are your second wife. If you take good care of them, then they will take good care of you. So I learned a lot because nowadays the millennials, they live in a different environment. I cannot deny that. So, and they, I feel that what I learned back then, I try to share my experience with the younger players nowadays. But then again, it's two different life, you see. So, but having said that, every time when I feel that the younger players, they tend to be relaxed in training, having more fun than putting in the hard work, and then that's when I will come in and say, hey, if a 36-year-old is pushing, every single training, and the younger ones are having fun instead of putting the hard work, and something is wrong. So that's when I think they will realize that the older ones are pushing more than us. So yeah, I have to lead by example. It's not just about talk. It's not just that. I have to put in the action. I have to show them. Yeah.
Truong, how do you push yourself and your team, of course, to get to that next level?
Well, I always told myself that, I need to be the best of myself, and when you see some of your players, some of your teammates are not in the good form, you have to help your teammate as well. So to be in the best level of the team, you have to try your best. Like Schrock said, every morning after you wake up, you have to know that what you're gonna do today. You have to sacrifice. You don't have time to see your family. You don't have time to see your friends, and you have to think about the big target that everyone of the team. We have to think about that. So I think if we try the best we can, the best we have, the result will come. Yeah.
How about you, Schrock? How do you push your teammates, especially to get on your level and push them to that next level as well?
I clearly experienced this when I was part of the under-23 at the SEA Games in December, last year, December, November?
Yes.
When did that event take place? Yeah, somewhere there. So when you go there and you start being the first at the practice, you go to the gym using utilities to get yourself better or recover faster or whatever, the people around you in your environment, they take note. They might not take it immediately, but they take note. And then they're creating a habit, they're creating a philosophy for themselves to get better every day. That motivates me right back, and then from there on, everyone steps up and improves in their game, improves physical athlete aspects. And it's good because in that, especially in that environment, you create something that will never stop. I want to be better than him. I want to be better than the other, and so on and so on. And from there on, you create a great team, which produces great results. And I saw it with the national team. And then if you follow them on Instagram, they're working all out hard, very, very hard. And I think I played a major role in that scenario last year, and then creating obviously the work habit they have now until up to now. It's a very tough time. We in it, especially in the Philippines, 6 months, no sport, 7 months actually. Then some of the teams haven't played a competitive match in a year. And then seeing them, following them on Instagram, they're working out, getting six packs, getting bulky and strong, and living in that dream. That's really, really great to see. And I think everyone needs a role model in the team, and I'm not shy to be that role model.
Hassan, as you're talking about, like with Schrock as well, same thing, that how to show what you are, or that you're the best, is that not by always talking. Of course, you can inspire by doing that, but of course also by really showing it on the pitch, who's first, who trains the hardest, who's there first, and who leaves last.
Yes. I think that's not that's a norm, or that's a practice. Like I said, I learned a lot when I was young, because when I saw my senior players coming in early and leaving the training, last few players, the last few people in the changing room, something is wrong. I'm the younger ones. After training, I would just leave like that. And when I saw my senior players, they stay behind, they do extra, and I wonder why are we not doing that? So I learned all that, and then I apply even till now. I will be the first one to come, last one to leave. So it's not about staying there just to show people, hey, I'm the first one to come, but it's what you do when you first arrive and what you do when you're last to leave.
Definitely about setting your intentions right.
Yes, correct.
And of course, moving on, unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it really has disrupted football momentum, as Schrock was saying, and has caused a lot of uncertainty. As top athletes, how are you able to stay resilient through all this? And how are you able to take care of your physical and mental health during these tough times? Hassan?
To be honest, it has not been a good year for everyone, not only for the athletes, for the professional football players, but also for everyone. I keep telling myself that I'm very fortunate to have football on my side. Some other people, they lose their jobs. They don't get get their salary being cut, and all those unfortunate incidents happen to them. But football, we are still playing football. We do still have our contracts. So that was what came into my mind. That's the first thing. I should appreciate football. So then comes next is I have to stay fit. When first few weeks when COVID happened, we were told to stay home. We were given homework to do to keep us fit at home. So the least I can do is just to complete everything or do extras. So in that way, I stay fit, and of course I have to. I even had to change my diet just to make sure I don't eat much of a junk food. Because it's gonna be a normal thing when you don't train, and then you gain weight easily. So I had to put all that into prospect. So a lot of things I consider, and it's all about having a good routine.
How about you, Truong?
Obviously. I think only training and no games make every player feel so bored and tired. It's hard to maintain your good condition because you don't know when the league is gonna resume again. So I think online training with your teammates is one of the good ideas because you can still see your teammates and practice together. But fortunately, the V-League, our league in Vietnam, we didn't have to stop for too long. So we are at the end of the season now, so it's quite good in Vietnam now.
Definitely. For Schrock, it's a different story. So for you, how have you been able to stay resilient through this long drought of no football?
Well, I had the first 10, 11 weeks under the lockdown here in the Philippines before I left for Germany with my family. So in the Philippines, as you know, Natasha, it was quite strict. You cannot go out unless it's an emergency grocery or you have some bank transfer to do. I bought a stationary bike. I got me some dumbbells in. I used and researched on things which I can use in order to stay fit. So I went down the parking lot. The parking lot B1 and B2 in my building is actually for visitors. So obviously there was no visitors, no cars. So I went down every day for an hour and a half to train, to run, to sprint, jump, whatever you can do there, play football with my kids. And then we moved to Germany, and luckily the lockdown restrictions weren't that strict. So football came back pretty early, I would say July. So I started training in July with several teams, several clubs. I would say I'm in a condition like 2 years before, if due to pandemic for everyone else is what hard to train. And I saw people in the Philippines, athletes, football players, PBA players, they used everything they could get in order to stay fit. And it's a very, very positive note, you know. It's not normal that you don't lose your mind, don't get detrained, as you say, when you don't have your schedule, you don't have your games, you don't have your competitions. It's hard. But the athletes here in the Philippines, hats down to them. They did their work, and we can be very, very proud of that.
Definitely inspiring. And as I want to give a little focus again on that mental health aspect of how do you take care of your mind and really stay resilient. What are the advices, I guess, that you could give everyone else out there regarding that? Let's start with you, Hassan.
I spoke to some people about this, my cousins, my relatives. They lost their jobs, and I told them that, you know, I'm very fortunate to have football, and who knows, one day you will be fortunate as well to have something coming along the way. So whatever you receive or whatever you get, especially opportunity, just take it and make sure you give everything, because you never know when the next opportunity arises. So like I said, if you have football at the moment, do respect football and make sure you know, like whatever you do, just think that you are you are fortunate to have this on your side, because I think there are millions of people struggling to find or even to get a dollar, or you know, they think when their next dollar will come. So yeah.
Great. Very inspiring, of course, and really just how much football has given so much, most especially to the players and everyone right now. We're very all fortunate that, of course, football is doing well in Singapore. How about you, Trong?
I think, well, it's not about only football player. Everyone else have to take care of themselves and be healthy every single day, so that you have to train yourself, you have to practice every day, and just be positive and trust in the government. Everything will be fine in the end. So yeah, just be positive and discipline to yourself.
And how about for you, Schrock?
Trong is absolutely right. It's not only a tough time for the athletes, it's all over the world, people suffering from being locked in their condos, in their houses. But regardless of the circumstances, there is things which is very, very positive. You just have to choose to see them every day. You know, for me, for example, I was very, very grateful to spend time with my kids, with my family, seeing them happy, healthy every morning, getting up. And I, as an athlete, the last 20 years, I could not spend that much time with my wife, with my kids, especially. I think I missed out 6th birthday of my 8-year-old son because of football. So I was able to catch up time with them, have them around me 24/7. It was tough in the beginning, I have to say, because I'm not used to it at all. But when you choose to see the positive aspects of this, and there is always a positive aspect in everything you do in your life, regardless how shitty it is, or it might feel like, if you choose to see a positive aspect, you will embrace it and you will appreciate it. Appreciate the surroundings, appreciate the environment and the problems you're facing at the moment. if as long as you appreciate them and finding for solutions, I feel that's the key, not losing your mind in such a difficult time.
Definitely something that everyone can take a key point from learning from all three of you during a time like this is really to stay positive, be grateful and stay blessed always. And of course, as all of you have turned into inspiration, most especially for all the younger athletes out there, how about growing up? Who have played major influences in you guys picking up football over other sports, and what did they do to really help you set football as your career path? Let's start with you, Hassan.
I always tell myself, football is a short career. It's really a short span of time. You can only spend max 40 years old, 42, 43. So, we have to look at the best. We have to look at players who treat football as their life. Like, when I was young, I look up to Buffon, I look up to Peter Schmeichel because, hey, they are 36, 38, and then they're still training hard because they want to prolong their career, they're taking good care of themselves. So I always look up to them, and then especially Peter Schmeichel. He was crazy back then, but as you know, he is very determined to get things right. He's determined to get clean sheets, all that. So I'm not as crazy as him, but I try to give everything like what he did back then. So as at the same time, I learn a lot from Buffon, how they take care of themselves by and especially the older ones like Casillas. All these goalkeepers play a big part in my life because I know that even the best are doing all these routines. Why not, us as so just follow it and just take examples from them.
And how about when you were growing up? Is there anyone in your family that played football or that really helped you decide that football should be priority?
Not really, because actually I started football quite late when I was 14, 15, and I wasn't. I came from a financially troubled family, so I don't come from a rich family, so it's good that I have to be honest, I struggled a lot when I was young. I was a road sweeper when I was young. I helped my dad because I know it's very important that you are there for your parents, especially. So I grew up. I know I went through hardship in life and football. So like I said, now that's the reason why if you notice, I treat football as my life, because I know when I was young, I dreamt of being a professional footballer. And when you become one, good things will come to you, like good bonus, good salary. So when I was young, I wasn't, I don't have even like $10, $5 in my wallet. So I was struggling a lot when I was young. So I have to be thankful, of all what I have now. I appreciate my life. So it's all about hard work that I've put in, and I appreciate the people around me especially.
That's such an inspiring story, how you really just went against all the odds and were still able to accomplish so much despite not having a lot back then.
Yeah.
Really what you made with your life and your career, that's really inspiring.
Yeah.
How about you, Truong?
Well, I would say my father. He was not a professional football player, but he loves football so much. Now he's so happy that to see me to become a football player, and especially I'm playing for the national team now. I think he's so proud of me. And when I was a kid, I remember that he taught me how to play football, how to do a lot of basic exercises like passing, shooting, heading. And well, he's my first coach anyways. at that time when I chose to go for football, everyone in my family, in my big family, they are against my father and me. But well, he told to everyone in my family that he's gonna be a professional football player, so I would protect my son. No one would touch him. Yes, so now I'm so happy for my father's decision.
Definitely, that's very interesting to note. It really is something special when your parent, most especially your dad, really truly believes in you and what you can do, can really help you bring you to great heights as to where you are now. How about for you, Schrock?
Well, I grew up in Germany, so football is basically a religion. So you go out with your friends, if you like it or not, you get in touch to play football in the backyard. And there's many cages, I call them, like small-sided pitches where you can play basketball, football. So everyone chooses to play football as well, obviously. And growing up in Germany, your path is only, you can ask 999 kids out of 1,000 would say, I want to play football, I want to be a professional player, I want to be seen in TV, I want to get fancy cars, I want to get nice houses, and all of this. So me growing up, my dad was a professional boxer, so I used to be playing with my friends in the backyard football, but go on training sessions with my dad boxing. But eventually my mom and my dad got separated when I was 8, 9 years old, and I pretty soon realized the life we have right now, the money my mom would generate juggling 3 jobs a day was not good, was really not good. So the easiest way to make money is playing football. But there's millions of people, kids, thinking of this. And I choose to work harder than everyone else. I choose to go after more than everyone else. And that's why I became a football player. I wanted to secure my family's future. I wanted to give my kids a good life. I don't want to turn down requests on, I want this, I want that, because of, we don't have we have no money left, or we are tied in the end of the month, or stuff like that. I don't want to hear that. And as far as I'm concerned, football players get very, very well paid for the little work they do. As simple as that, I choose to be a football player over everything else.
And of course, as you said, you've all had really great careers, starting from when all of you were younger. Looking back at your younger self, is there one thing or anything that you would have done differently? Let's start with you, Hassan.
I'm not sure if you know anything about me, but I went through 3-4 years of injuries, knee injury. So I was out of action for about 2 years. I had ACL injury. And if you ask me that question, I think what I regretted most was when I was young, I don't really take good care of myself in terms of nutrition, in terms of strength work. I was very playful. I was out late nights. I was eating junk food all day long. So I had a lot of weight, like excess weight on me. So yeah, then even after I got my injuries, when let's say 8 years ago, and then things started to change, and I feel better now. So the only thing that I regretted was not taking good care of myself when I was young.
Definitely, but something to learn from, I guess, for everyone else out there who are watching as well. It's our experiences that make us stronger. Very sure that you take great care of yourself nowadays.
Yes, I have to.
How about you, Truong?
Well, I'm only jealous with my friends. I mean, they are not football players. I'm jealous with them because they had beautiful school memories, and I had to go to school with only football players in my academy since I was 12. You practice with them, you study with them, you eat, you sleep, everything you do with them. So I mean, we have different ways of life, but I don't think that I choose to become a footballer. Everything happened to me by chance, from the start, from my father. I didn't decide anything, but now I just realized how much I love football not long ago, and now I'm very serious to my job, and yeah, that's all.
How about for you, Schrock?
Yeah, Trung is pointing in a good direction, actually, because, when you grow up in an academy, especially, I went to an academy when I was 14 years old, and then you, in that football environment, you eat, you sleep, you drink, you eat football every day because your friends are around you. They are in the same academy. There is nothing other to talk about than football. Then it becomes kind of tough if you go back home, see your friends doing different things, enjoying life experience, dating, going out for the first time with a fake ID, stuff like that. You are kind of like restricted to that life. You not get to experience the what do you call it? Not the bad moments, the funny moments you will learn from in your youth. But going back to your question, for me, football was always the chosen sport, the way out of everything, and I don't regret nothing. Every path I choose, every decision I made on my career helped me to become what I am today, and to become personally also. Football helped me getting a personality. You can be a great football player, you can be an asshole off the pitch as well, or there's also people can be both, on the pitch. But going back, like I said, football is sharpening you, is making you to what you are right now. And every decision I made towards football, towards my career, was always the right one looking back. And even though I missed out some great nights, maybe in a club or a bar or with my friends, in the end, it was all worth it, and I'm very grateful for the path I went on.
Definitely. But how about let's switch it up. If there is an advice that you could give your younger self, most especially during hard times, what advice would you have given your younger self? Let's start with you, Truong.
If I have the chance to remake something again in the past, well, I just don't want to waste my time. I could have done much better. I could have tried harder, and so now I think I'll get better results. But as Schrock said, that it's nothing to regret in the past, because you became who you are today, and you have good teammates. You try to be a good person in life as well. So everything happens for a reason. Even I think I was born to be a football player, so it's really good now for me.
Yes, I'll agree with that. You were definitely born to be a football player. How about for you, Schrock?
That question, that answer is really, really short, because I wouldn't take advice as a teenager or young adult, so I would not have listened anyways. That's why I choose to not giving my younger self an advice.
Okay. And of course, for all these young aspiring football players of our SingaCup family, what message do you want to impart with them on really how to have a successful football career just like you guys? Let's start with you, Hassan. What message do you have to give to them, especially if they want to have a successful football career like you have?
First thing first, whatever you do, you have to give everything. Like when it comes to studies, you have to make sure you pay attention. You spend full 100% on it. So same goes to football. When you come to a trade, to a training session, you don't come to just play around and just have fun. But you have to give everything in terms of effort, determination. So and you have to know that if you want to be the best, you have to be the best. So you have to show that, not just talk, just show that I want to be better than everyone else. So if you have all this in mind, to be honest, I think number one, which is very important, is the mindset. So how positive can you be? How strong can you be? And even when the chips are down, so it's how you get up and all that. So I think mindset is very important. How you change negative thinking to positive. So all that is very important. So if you start off with a good positive mindset, good things will come.
Definitely agree with that, most especially with everything happening right now.
Correct.
The one thing you can take control of really is your mindset.
Yes.
It's the one thing that you have control over. Everything else, you just have to let the chips fall where they may. How about you, Truong?
Time flies so fast. So, I also would say that just don't waste the time on something doesn't make your future bright, and focus on football and spend a lot of time for it. Invest the time and money to your job and as much as you can. And in our country, we've got a very simple quote, which is practice makes perfect. It means that if you work harder and harder, one day you will get what you deserve. Yeah.
Very inspiring. How about for you, Schrock?
Oh, there is really not much to add on to that answer, because he's absolutely there. If you want to be a football player, you love the sport dearly, and you have a deeply rooted feeling towards football, then go after it. Eventually, not the best talent will succeed. I've seen players back in Germany, here in the Philippines, much better, much brighter skill set that I do have. But if you work and your thinking is towards football, eventually you will become successful, and football gives you a great life. We can all relate. Regardless if you get millions paid a month or a little bit, you can help out, especially here in the Philippines. You know it yourself, Kash. Let's say you are the breadwinner in the family. There's some hardworking parents in your household. You have siblings to feed. You have school tuitions to pay. You have Meralco bills going through the roofs. You have everything to pay. And then there you have a football player, and he can support the family with, what is it, in the end of the day, 3 hours of your time? Who works like that 3 hours a day and get paid above average in a normal society? No one, except you're an athlete or a football player. And especially in football, it teaches you so much. It teach you to be humble and confident at the same time, to go after. You get to know discipline. You learn and gain so much from the game, and it gives you right back. In the moment you decide to go after it, football will give you back. And here in the Philippines, it's might considered as a little bit a rich sport, but as you see in the grassroots, people, 2 million kids want to be football players, being part of academies, of youth teams, and they will go after it. And the next generation will be very, very successful in football for the Philippines, I'm so sure. And regardless what country you're in, what city, what circumstance your life and face, you will always have your teammates, and you will always have the support of your coaches and your club, and it makes you brothers for life and friends for life. So football for me is the greatest thing that ever happened in my life.
Very inspiring, of course. Really, football, it really is the beautiful game, and it really brings people all together, most especially being able to share the screen right now with all three of you. So thank you very much, Hassan, Truong, and Schrock. Thank you for all the insight, and of course for helping us connect with all our viewers, giving them all those inspiring messages. I'm sure everyone learned more than a few things in this interview. So, of course, we're wishing all of you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Natasha.
Thank you.
And for everyone watching, thank you for watching this episode of the eSingaCup virtual event. Don't forget to check out the website for more events. Stay safe, everyone.
Start. Get everyone out.
SingaCup will have a new age group, which is the under 10s, bringing a total number to 6 age groups.
This tournament is a good platform for young kids to showcase their talent.
The competition is good, and so we're looking forward to our next year's one.
It's a fantastic to have this tournament every year. It gives the local Singaporean children, kids, an opportunity to play against competition that they normally wouldn't have.
I'm Aysha, your host for today. Welcome to the eSingaCup 2020.
A big hello to our SingaCup family in Singapore. Namaste, this is Sunil Chhetri. These are unprecedented times. Let us all unite, persevere, and protect ourselves and our loved ones. Catch me live on Wednesday, 4th of November, as SingaCup celebrates 10 years of footballing excellence. Also, eSingaCup 2020 comes to you every day from the 31st of October to 4th of November. See you soon.
Welcome to the final night of the eSingaCup 2020. Now, this is organized by Dynamic Concepts. The SingaCup this year, of course, a very special year. It's celebrating its 10-year anniversary. However, due to the pandemic, the event has gone fully virtual. I'm Adrian Abraham, and tonight I'm in the company of Indian football legend, Captain Fantastic, Sunil Chhetri. Great having you on the show, Sunil. How are you?
I'm good, Adrian. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well too.
Yes, I am. Now, I understand that you're in a bubble and you'll be there for 6 months. And of course, we will get to that in just a little bit. But I feel it's only fair that we start at the beginning of your sort of journey. What inspired you to start playing football in a country that's mad about its cricket?
Well, I've never thought the way you are saying right now. I mean, when I started playing football, I never thought that I'm going to take it as a career. There was no pressure of which sport is more viable, which sport is more famous. I played it because I enjoyed it. I think my mom and dad were very much responsible because my mom and dad both loved football. They both played football when they were young. So getting the game into my system was never difficult. And also, I think those times, Adrian, you never, as a young kid, thought too much about your career, what's going to happen. Like, you know, if you compare kids now, there is so much pressure as to what stream you're going to choose, what are you going to be. And then there is so much focus on that. For us, it was just go and enjoy and have fun. So, I mean, why wouldn't choose the best game in the world?
Of course, it certainly is the best game in the world, regardless of what people might say about cricket. Now, you're a striker and a lethal one, that too. Now, growing up, who did you base your game around? Who is your sort of inspiration growing up?
There were many, Adrian. There were many. I think nationally, we had Baichung Bhutia, we had Am Vijayan, were top names. There wasn't much footage to watch. But whenever little we used to get from here and there, I was a big fan of them. And then a little later, the cable TV came, and then we had the likes of Thierry Henry, Ronaldo, the Brazilian one. You know, I was a big fan of both of them. You know, try to watch as much videos as possible of them and try to learn as much as from them. So yeah.
Now, you're an inspiration to a lot of people around the world, particularly in India with of course, football. Now, in recent years, you've seen the game develop significantly. I mean, with the ISL and everything that grows about it. Now, what was it like for you to make your debut for the national team? I mean, now you've been playing for quite some time, but do you remember that feeling when you stepped onto the pitch wearing that Indian jersey?
Yeah, I mean, very, very clearly, and probably never forget till I die. It was against Pakistan at Pakistan. It was 2005, and I was a rookie. When I got a chance of just being with the team, I was so happy. We were, I think, 23 players. We went to Pakistan, and I never thought I'm going to be in the first 11. But in the first game itself, the coach handed me my first start, I was brilliant, Adrian. It was brilliant. And thankfully, I scored in my first game, which is just the icing in the cake. It was amazing. I think every kid, I mean, everyone who plays football, uh, probably dreams of playing for the country. And I got an opportunity when I was just 20, and that day is probably going to be the best day of my life.
To score on your debut as well. But back in that day, you could actually travel to Pakistan. However, these days, not so much anymore. But now, you've spent some time abroad with the Kansas City Wizards and with the reserve team of Sporting Lisbon. A lot of people will say, yes, do you have any regrets about these experiences? But do you feel that those experiences abroad shaped you up to the person that you are now?
First of all, to answer to your second question, yes, it definitely did. I've got no regrets, Adrian. I think when I went to Kansas, I learned a lot. When I was in Sporting Lisbon, I learned a lot. When I was playing in India, I was always in the first 11. Things were easy, things were nicer. But the moment I went to Kansas, the moment I went to Sporting, I was in the bench. I had to come and earn my place. Most of the times, I never started. So all these things really helped me develop as a player. When things are going fine, things are different. But when you are on the bench and you go to prove a point, it's always that much more difficult. So I think it most definitely helped me become the player I am and also become the kind of person I am. Living outside your country, not having the same surrounding that you have in your own nation. Because here it was quite easy. People knew me. They know what I could do on the pitch. It just the whole confidence is different. But when you go to a different land and try to prove a point and not get enough chances, it's always that much more difficult. So it definitely did help me to become whoever I've become today, Adrian.
Now, with unfamiliar surroundings as well, I mean, you almost like alienated environments. How did you manage to keep yourself motivated during those difficult times? You said you spent the majority of the time on the bench. How did you, keep yourself motivated and said, I'm going to get through this. I'll be just fine because there is something better on the horizon.
I think, Adrian, I'm really gifted with a nice team around me. My parents, my friends, and everyone around. They're very motivating. They are very honest to me. So whenever I talk back, I call back to and I talk to them. They always told me, do not forget why you're there. Try to see the positive. It's not easy always, because also you're alone there, and it's not the same when you're in a team where probably they don't trust you that much. It's never the same, and all the players who play now, they will understand this. But just the fact that giving up wasn't an option. You just go to the training, keep your head down, and keep improving. That's all is in your hand. How much the coach is going to play you is never in your hand, no matter where you play, no matter which country you play. The only thing that is in your hand is to try and improve yourself. What happens is when you're on the bench, you start questioning others. So I had to really tell myself, do not question others because it's not in hand. Just try to improve yourself. Don't be critical. Don't put your head down and just keep improving.
Now you've played all around India. I mean, particularly in the I League and now the ISL as well. You've seen everything, the game developed from the I League to the ISL and everything in between. How has the journey, been for the Indian football, the average Indian football? How much has it changed?
Oh, it has changed leaps and bounds, man. I think from when I started to now, it is completely different in our country in a very positive way. I think a lot of things happened well in the last 10 years. ISL most definitely is one of the protagonists of driving us towards being a football crazy nation. People are more aware. You know what? The awareness and the interest of international football was always there, in India, if you take neighboring countries, in China. But now, in our own country, a lot of people are taking a lot of interest in domestic football also, which is very, very important. I think football as a game is famous all over the world. But in our country, it was more about European football. It was more about Premier League. It was more about La Liga. But now I can see it slowly changing, where all the football enthusiasts are also giving the same kind of importance to domestic football. I think Adrian has changed a lot from when I started to now. There's so much of knowledge, so much of awareness, so much of interest all over the country.
Yeah, I've actually been fortunate enough to see a couple of ISL games. Well, in fact, I saw the Kerala Blasters, I think in season 2 when Lucio was playing for Goa, an absolute bloodbath. But the experience, of course, is completely different to what I've seen in the Premier League. But it was early days back then. But what I like is to see this emergence of local talent and young footballers coming through, where you don't really depend on the established sort of now washed up players, as you would say. And it's refreshing to see the ISL sort of develop in this sort of way. So, now you said that you're in a bubble, and of course you're going to spend 6 months there. It's a very long time, Sunil, and I want to ask you, how are you going to survive? Because I know the IPL, they've spent about a month or so, and they're already finding it difficult. What's going to be the biggest challenge? Because there are going to be many of being in this bubble.
Oh, everything is a challenge, to be honest, inside the bubble. I just had a meeting with the boys, and I told them, listen, the fact that even at these times we are allowed to play, we are allowed to train, and we're allowed to have a tournament means a lot. So never forget, whenever there is a problem, whenever you think, you are inside a room, there are only specific places you can go, you cannot go out, you got to do 2 testings every week, you have to be so particular. Do not forget why you're doing it. You're doing it because you're allowed to train as a team and you're allowed to play a tournament. Never forget that, because on those weak moments, this will be important. What happens is when you get used to training, when you're used to getting, you're allowed to train, you think, I want to go more. I want to be allowed to go and swim. I want to go and see the beach, stuff like that, which of course are not allowed right now. But that's the price you pay. When things are so bad in the world right now, where people are struggling big time, where there are so many businesses that are struggling, we still get a chance to go and showcase our skill, to earn our livelihood, to go and play. It's a massive thing. So in that context, staying inside a bubble is not a big price to pay.
And of course, you'll be representing a team very close to your heart, Bengaluru FC. A lot of success you've achieved with them. What does it mean for you to be back on the field, leading them in this in this ISL, when of course times are completely different to what they were last season?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love wearing the blue jersey. I'm here since day one, since the first brick, and it's a club which is very close to my heart. One of the things that I love about this club is everyone wants to improve, right? From the owners to our ball boy, everyone has this innate feeling of improving, and that is why the club is good. We will or we might not win tournaments or trophies every year, but the fact that everyone associated with the club wants to improve, right from the ones that you see on the pitch, the coaches, the owners, the backroom staff, everyone has a thing about improving, innovating ourselves. And it's such a nice drug to have around you, where you see everyone wants to improve, and it just rubs on each one of us. And that is probably why we do decently well every year. And for me, that's one of the biggest USPs of our team.
Now, Sunil, you mentioned earlier about what it meant for you to represent India, your debut and what it meant to you. Now, of course, you're captain of the Indian football team now, Captain Fantastic. In fact, you've been leading them for some time now. What does it mean for you to actually lead out the nation?
Oh, it's an unbelievable feeling, Adrian. I think if there is any one thing that I have to say, which is the best part of my life, it is playing for the country and captaining it. It's an unparalleled feeling. There is nothing else that comes close to it. As when I was young, I probably never even dreamt that I'm probably going to play for my country. And now that I've already played 100 games for my nation, which is again very unique. And also the fact that I captain my country is an absolute honor. Adrian, I don't take any bit of it as granted. I try my best to give whatever I've got whenever I play for my country. And I just want to enjoy it till the time it lasts.
And as the leader of the Indian football team, I mean, of course, you've seen the game develop significantly. I know you were quite vocal of how it needs more support. And you were saying, the media needs to do more to sort of promote Indian football and raise awareness, because in a country that's mad about its cricket, it's going to be ridiculously difficult. But how pleasing is it for you as captain of the Indian football team to see the strides that Indian football has made in recent years?
Yeah, I'm very happy, not satisfied, because where I want to see my country in football is still far. But to be honest, I never feel bogged down with the competition with cricket. We are a nation. Let's say an example of an America or a China. We are a nation with so much a population, we can cater to different sports. I love the fact that Virat Kohli and co do well in world cricket. At the same time, I want Saina Nehwal to do well. Saina Mirza to do well. Mary Kom does so well in our country for boxing. There is no reason why we can we should or can only think about one game. we should be aiming to do well in as many sports as possible. We have so much of talent in our nation, such a bigger pool to choose from, so many different kind of people in our country. We can definitely do well in different sports. So I've never, and I'm not trying to be humble or I'm not trying to be diplomatic, but I've never thought about cricket as a competition. I'm really happy that we do well in cricket. We should always try and do well in cricket, but there is so much talent and there is so much avenues to do well in other sports too.
And of course, your vision is you've achieved so much so far, but there's still a long way to go for Indian football. Now, of course, we're living in a pandemic, unprecedented times. It's been a very difficult year. How have you kept yourself, occupied during these times, particularly when India was in a bit of a lockdown as well earlier in the year? How did you spend your time when you weren't, playing football because you couldn't get out there?
Yeah, Adrian, the first, I think, couple of months was a little bit difficult. I think taking care of yourself physically wasn't a problem because trying to train a little bit here and there inside the house was fun and I enjoyed it. But trying to stay mentally sane was probably the difficult part. Trying to eat healthy and sleeping at the right time was a difficult part. You know what, Adrian? The first month I was cribbing a lot that I'm not allowed to train, I can't go out. But then when you see so much of misery around you, when you see people don't have food to eat, they don't know where the next meal is going to come from. You try to understand and you think, you're so fortunate. You don't have the basic fundamental issues that so many people in my country had. So I think then I thought I was just being stupid cribbing about the fact that I can't go and train. So it gave me a lot of different perspective. But the only difficult part was to be mentally sane. I made a small place inside my house where I could go and train. I think the most difficult part, Adrian, was to eat right and sleep on time.
I still struggle to do that every day of my life. In fact, given the sort of work schedules, I'm like, okay, when can I eat? Oh, maybe I should eat now. Oh, maybe not, don't have time. But, of course, the lockdown was a time for all of us to develop some, new skills and upskill and, pick up some new hobbies, maybe an instrument. Was there something you did that, was completely different to what you usually do?
Dishwashing. And I'm an absolute champion now. I think we had to, the moment the lockdown was announced, me and my wife, we had to give an off to our domestic helps. So it was only her and me, and she was doing the heavy lifting of cooking and taking care of the house. I was giving the small task, and dishwashing was one of them. In the first 1 week, I did really poorly. I wasn't good, but now I think I'm a champion. I think I'm really good. I know I'm not being modest right now, but I'm really good in dishwashing. I do it really quick, and even the quality is good.
I'm sure your wife will be really happy to hear that you're a champion now at dishwashing. Now, besides, of course, with the pandemic, and we're looking ahead to the future. So, you've dabbled in a bit of punditry. What does the future hold for you? Do you plan to get into sort of coaching? We've seen in recent years the likes of Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, just to mention Andre Pirlo getting into management. Do you see yourself, sometime down the line getting into coaching a little bit more?
I don't know, Adrian. Honestly, I have not thought about it because the thought comes with the fact that you're also thinking about retiring. And it's such a sad one that I don't want to think about it. Until the time I can, I want to play and give my best and enjoy it. But yes, I'm going to do my courses. I'll do my badges just so that I know more about the game. And if the time comes and if I need to make the switch and whenever it is, I'm ready. So I think I will do my badges soon. But what I'm going to do next after playing, I have no idea. All my life, I've just played and done nothing. Played, ate, snored, taken rest. So I'm not sure how competent I'm going to be after I leave football. But yeah, I'll do my badges and I'll see what comes next.
Yeah, of course, retirement is a very sad discussion. I remember when Sachin Tendulkar retired, and more recently, MS Dhoni, how sort of nation felt. But however, he said that he will still play the IPL. And of course, you're as fit as you could ever be. You're still bagging in the goals. So there's plenty more to come from you. Now, I'm just going to do a quick bit of rapid fire questions with you just to see, what else away from football. Now, we'll start off with your favorite stadium to play in.
Kantirwa Stadium, our home ground.
Okay. Now, your most memorable goal that you've scored.
The first goal against Pakistan, wearing the national team jersey.
Again, now you shared the dressing room with a lot of people. Who would you put down to as the practical joker in the dressing room?
John James Johnson, who was with us for like 5 years, hands down.
And your favorite holiday destination?
Oh, there are many, man. Barcelona.
If you could pick three, your top three. So Barcelona.
South of Italy. I was there and it was lovely. And one I will say that I haven't been, but I want to go, which is Morocco.
Morocco, beautiful. Africa, lovely. Now, of course, you had a lot of time during lockdown to work out and do a lot of other things. What is your least favorite exercise in the gym to do?
The least favorite exercise, I think the band work. I mean, it's very important though, but it's my least. The glutes and the hammies, all the band work, different exercises. I'm not a particularly big fan of them.
And particularly now that you're in the bubble, you'll have to do a lot more of that, wouldn't you?
True, Adrian, true.
Now, describe 2020 in one word.
Strange and sad.
If you weren't a footballer, what would be your profession?
I would be miserable, but my profession probably would be an army officer.
If there was a film made about you, who would you like to play the lead character?
I don't know. Me, myself, probably.
Well, maybe that's what the future holds. Then Sunil Chhetri, the actor, life after football.
the only movie that I can act is me myself, because I don't have to act. I'll just be me.
Of course, and that's the best way to go about it. Now, if you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Just one thing.
Yeah, just one thing for the rest of your life.
I would choose white rice and rajma. I'm not sure whether everyone knows rajma. It's an Indian dish, and it's beans. Oh, red beans. White rice and red beans.
And your least favorite defender to play against?
Least favorite in the sense that I hate to play against?
You hate playing. I mean, it tests you every time. You find it difficult, and every time you see his name on the opposition's team sheet, you're just like, oh, here we go again.
Oh man, there are a few crazy ones. The ones that I hate to play against. I have to take one name. It's difficult. You put me on the spot because I've played for the last 19 years. In present, I would tell you it is difficult to play against Sandesh Jingan. And foreigner-wise, I think it's difficult to play against Tiri. And sadly, both of them are on the same team this year.
And of course, like you mentioned, there are two new teams in the ISL. How different is it going to be to have these different teams there? This is just away from the rapid fire, just because you mentioned these.
I like the fact that there are two new teams. I like the fact that one of them has collaborated and one is completely new, but they both are not new in football.
They're historic clubs, yeah.
They're huge names, and I'm very, very happy.
Yeah.
It's like I've always said this before, that these two have to be there where where all the top footballers play. As simple as that. For us, Indian football to grow and be more viable to everyone, these two names had to be there. And I'm very happy and I wish them all the luck, minus the game against us.
And your favorite game to play on your gaming console, if you game?
FIFA, man. I only play one game.
Except FIFA. Do you only play FIFA?
Yeah, that's it. That I only have a little bit time and I only play FIFA.
And who do you play as when you play FIFA?
It depends on the opponent who I'm playing against. So it differs.
Your favorite team though, like your go-to team?
FC Barcelona.
FC Barcelona. But this year, of course, Barcelona is not what they were, before. Now we have a few questions coming in from Facebook. Of course, I think I've covered a few of them. How will COVID-19 affect the popularity of the ISL this year? Of course, no fans is one, but as players, how are you preparing yourself for this year's ISL?
See, it is going to be difficult for us because I'm old school. I want the stadium, I want the fans to come in. But I'll give you a small instance here for the fan who have asked me. When there was lockdown, the first game I saw was Schalke against Dortmund. And it was empty. It was empty. But as a fan, I enjoyed it because there's nothing better than live sports. Of course, you want to watch it in the stadiums, but the second best thing. So for all the ISL lovers or football lovers, yes, it's not ideal that you're not going to be in the stadium, but it's going to be on telly. Watch it, enjoy it. I think the more difficult part is for us to go and play in empty stadiums.
Now, before we jumped on this chat, you were talking to Roshan, and you did mention the future of Indian football, particularly the under-16. They are the ones to watch. Now, just based on that, of course, I have to ask you, why do you feel that they are the possibly the best group, going forward, even compared to the likes of what you had when you were their age?
Just the way, the cohesive way they play, to keep the ball, the way they play is very smart. The kind of results they have got is unbelievable, and they give me a lot of hope. Seriously, Adrian, you got to see them play. Some of the games they played have been outstanding. They are much better than what we were in under 16. And what it does is, when you have a good under 16 team and doing well, the younger kids are going to follow them. Younger kids would want to be them or be better than them, and that's how the wheel starts moving faster. And that is why they give me a lot of hope.
Yeah, I remember the under 17 World Cup a few years ago, which was, of course, hosted in India. Indian football, of course, did well, but some of the stars that have come out of that tournament, in particular, Phil Foden of Manchester City, it just shows that when you have that structure at such a young age, and of course, if you have said that they're going to be, exceptional talents going forward, it has to be a group that we have to watch. Now, a few more questions coming in on Facebook. What are they saying? Do you see more personalities coming forward to own football teams in India, like they do with the IPL?
Yeah. There are some young ones who not only are good on the pitch, but also have a personality. As you spoke about Phil Foden, there are many Indian boys who played in the tournament who are doing really well. We got a boy called Suthesh who played the World Cup under 17, and he has grown up so quick in terms of maturity, in terms of the way he plays, his understanding, and his colleagues who are around in all the ISL teams are all doing well. So this is what happens, when an under 17 team does well, and the under 16 team follows them and also are equally good. That's how the whole chain, comes up, and it's good for Indian football.
And what more do you feel that Indian football needs to do, to improve further? What do you feel that it is lacking right now?
Oh.
If you could just put it down to maybe 2 or 3 things.
I think there are a few things that we got to do better. We have done something good in the last 7-8 years, but as I said, we shouldn't be happy or satisfied. But I'll give you one thing that we should do. I think identifying the talent at the right time and giving her or him the best infrastructure, the best education, the best coaching would be a great start. The fact that we are a big population and the fact that we don't tap in the talent around the country is putting us a little bit behind. The day when we can say, each and every kid in our country who wants to play football is given the right, first of all, has been tapped at the right age and is given the right package to be a better player, I think that day we should be happy.
And of course, you're going to hear this question all the time: the IPL versus the ISL. What more do you feel that the ISL, could do to possibly reach the height? Of course, it's completely different. I don't even think it's like comparing two different. It's not possible. But how do you feel that maybe not compete on a level playing field, but maybe reach some sort of height, like to the extent of what the IPL has achieved?
I'm not sure what IPL can do to reach the level of ISL. You have to work hard, probably.
Yeah.
But I think it's just in terms of the game. I mean, I'll be completely biased. I love football. So if I'm given a chance, I will only watch ISL. But yes, in terms of the popularity and in terms of the way they function, IPL is way ahead than ISL. There are a lot of things that ISL has learned from IPL. There are a lot of things that in future ISL is going to learn from IPL. There is nothing wrong in learning from something, a model which has done well. And yeah, slowly and steadily. I think if you just see the graph of ISL in the last 7 years, it has done really well. And we have an IPL model where, also probably has done well. I don't know much about IPL, but yes, because it's a bigger entity, ISL can always learn from IPL.
Now, a question coming in from Satya Sai Chaitanya Neelam. Do you see promising Indian players coming through? And the second part of his question is, can they make a living with football?
Oh, I think, what's her name?
His Satya Sai Chaitanya Neelam.
Satya, I think there's a lot he doesn't know, man. I think a lot of kids make a lot of money in football. I know all the young ones would not like me saying this, all the young footballers, but earning a living is not an issue in football anymore. I think I can say it because from where I started to now, that's not an issue. There is ISL, there is I League, there is second division, there is so much avenues to make a living. It is not easy because we are such a big nation and only selected few get their opportunity. But once, if you are in the ISL and I League, I don't think making a living is an issue.
Okay, coming in from Raghu Varma, Sunil Chhetri, how did this lockdown affect your daily routine before lockdown and your fitness? I think we've already covered that though. Another one, some fan love coming in here. Sir, I love you more than my life. I love you a lot. This coming in from Chandralekha Hari. Of course, you have a lot of fan love coming through. Now, people want to know, when is the ISL starting? Of course, we mentioned that it is in the bubble in the last 6 months. When does it start?
I think 20th is the date. All the teams, whoever you are supporting, are all in Goa. Every team is under the bio bubble. It is important to be in bubble, but it is not very conducive. It is difficult. But at least we are all safe. We all are allowed to train, and all the hotels probably are taking as utmost care as possible for all of us.
And of course, being back with the boys, how does that make you feel, having spent so much time away?
Adrian, it's wonderful, man. It's the best thing about being a footballer, man. That dressing room, that training, those mini fights in the 5 versus 5, those sprints. That's the best thing about being a footballer, man. You ask any footballer, the best thing about being a footballer is the dressing room, is training every day, are those mini battles inside the ground. I mean, a match is just a part of the whole week. The 6 days that you spend with the boys it's unbelievable.
And of course, you won't have your beloved fans this year from Bengaluru. What are some words of encouragement that you can, give them during these testing times?
Well, I think first of all, we should be happy that there's going to be football. So the moment you're very, very sad that you can't watch it, because trust me, I am equally sad that you don't want to be there. But at least there is football. So grab your popcorns or whatever you want to have, get your drinks if you're one of them, and enjoy it on telly.
But have you ever played, because this is, have you ever played in an empty stadium before?
I have not, but there was one game because of something that happened. I don't know what happened politically in Bangalore. We had to play under closed doors. It was so bad. It felt like it felt like end of the world, honestly. I think CK Vinny scored for us, and there was pin drop silence. We being the home team, he scored and there was pin drop silence. So it is not going to be good. I already know I'm not going to enjoy it, but that's the way it is.
I think that sums up this year in general. I was watching the Clásico a few weeks ago, and I was just like, oh my God, no fans. But it's just dead, How can you act? But at least, like you said, we're fortunate that we have some sort of live sport coming back to us. But those 6 months in the bubble, so I have asked you a little bit about this, but being away from your wife and from your loved ones, how difficult is that going to be?
It is going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult. Some of the players have found a way of getting their better halves inside the bubble.
Okay.
But I feel pity for the ones who are going to come into the bubble, because we still have to go and train and we know why we're doing it. But imagine the family members staying inside the bubble. It is not going to be easy, but it is what it is. And all the players understand it. And I'm pretty sure all the family members will understand it also.
A question coming in from June Tan said, with all due respect, I've heard a lot of people comparing you with Baichung Buchia. What do you have to say to them about this?
Well, I probably will never compare myself. I am a big fan of him. When I was started playing football, I always looked up to him. I was so fortunate that I played with him for the club and country more, because I played with him for 5-6 years. An absolute legend. We all know how good it was on the pitch, but it was equally good off it. He gave me so many good advices, not only me, but a lot of other youngsters. He's so down to earth. Let's not compare, because there is no comparison. I'm just a fan. And like me, all the guys who started playing around me, we all big fans of Baichung.
But to receive such comparisons must make you feel really happy, because course, Baicheng is a legend of Indian football. And so are you, you know, I mean, you're still going strong at 36 and, you know, plenty more to go. But no, I've seen you do a little bit of media work as well with the likes of Manchester United, Brandon Williams, and, you know, was it Brandon Williams or Luke Shaw? Can't actually remember, but a few Manchester United players. What was that like?
It was fun. It was fun. It was something different. When I said yes to it, I didn't know what to expect, but it was nice. It was nice hanging with few of the Manchester United boys and you know and talking to them, knowing more about them. They were just starting the preseason then, so yeah. I mean, whenever there is time, I like doing this media stuff. Also because there isn't much time, so I don't have to do it every day. I do it once in a while, and I enjoy it. Everything, you know, gives you a different challenge, a different stuff to enjoy, and I love doing it.
And do you feel that, you know, heading into the future, of course, now with the pandemic, on uncertain times, but do you feel that, you know, other teams can also tour India on their preseason? Is this something that you think will be possible? Because a few years ago, a long time ago, did see Argentina. There was talk about the Borussia Dortmund legends coming to India, maybe some talk of Manchester United as well. Is this something you think is, you know, not just feasible, but possible?
Yeah, it is going to be possible. I think it's going to happen. I think we just have to improve our infrastructure, and soon it will happen. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, in the last few years, it has definitely improved. We just have to make it, more interesting for the teams that we want to invite, and it'll definitely happen.
Now, grassroots football, of course, is integral to all forms of football, and this year has been a very difficult time. You know, the SingaCup celebrates 10 years, and for the first time, going virtual. Now, I interviewed the tournament director and organizer, Selva Kumar, last week. He was telling me how difficult and how challenging it was. But what sort of advice do you have to give to some of these youngsters? You know, some advice you didn't get while you were growing up. What can you sort of say to them now?
Well, it's not only about the pandemic, but just general. I think one thing that I really want to say, especially to the ones who are in India and neighboring countries, is take care of your food, take care of your sleep, especially in nowadays where there is so much access to the phone and internet. If you want to be a footballer or a sports person, your lifestyle has to be different than your brother and sisters. And if you really want to be a good one, the competition is so fierce. Make sure you eat right and sleep on time. And I know it sounds so cliche and so normal as to why, you know, a national captain is speaking about food and sleep when the question is about footballers, but this is paramount. This is so important. Eat right and sleep on the right time. Sleep as much as possible. These are the things that are the most difficult ones. These are things we ignore a lot. Do not. Because if I ask you to come and train with me, you'll always be happy. You'll always go on the pitch and give your best because that's enjoyable. But if I ask you to have oatmeal every day, if I ask you to have the right nuts every day, that's the difficult part. So make sure you eat right. If you really want to be a sports person in general and footballer, make sure you eat right and sleep a lot.
Question coming in from Danush Raj. How did you feel when you won the AFC Asian Icon Award?
Well, I felt amazing. The thing is, whenever you are announced and you get all these awards, you feel so good, but you don't have much time to, elaborate on that thought. You just keep going. So probably I'll tell you my feelings more when I'm done with football, because right now, whatever I get, whichever match I win, whatever awards I get, whichever match I lose, I just, it's just a inbuilt system where I just move on. You think about it, you learn from it, and you just move on. But yeah, it felt amazing.
I mean, to be recognized for your achievement in the sport, I mean, nothing better than that. Now, there are 6 Indian players currently in Europe. This question actually coming in from Arun Nagalingam. What is stopping more from going abroad?
Well, that's a very layered question. I don't know where to start. Nothing is stopping anyone from going anywhere, to be honest. A good thing is our league has become better. So a lot of them can have a very challenging prospect in their own country. But yes, whenever there is a player who is much better than the domestic league, he or she should venture out. So for now, I don't think anything is stopping them. There are a lot of rules in Asia. I'll give you a small technical part where it's 3+1 foreigners. So all the bigger leagues probably will not go for an Indian player. That's one of the issues. But yes, whenever there's an opportunity for any Indian player, my suggestion is go and take the plunge.
Yeah, of course it is something that we can look forward to, maybe seeing more Indian players outside. But in terms of Indian football group going forward, what are some of the names that we should sort of keep an eye on? Look out for heading, particularly the next maybe year or so. As the captain of the football team, of course, you are the best person to ask this because you see them in training every day. Who do you feel that is going to be, the next real superstars of Indian football?
You'll get me killed, man. I've been in trouble.
I have to put you on the spot. I don't have a choice.
A lot of youngsters who have been a part of the Under-17 World Cup, and a lot of them are in different ISL clubs. Almost all of them are really good. I talked about Suresh. There is Rahul in Kerala. There is Amarjeet in Jamshedpur. A lot of them, almost all of them, have a lot of prospect and are doing really well. But if you're talking about next 1-2 years, who to look up to, or look for, I think there's one name that I can take, and I think the whole country will agree, is Gurpreet Singh Sandhu. He's our national team goalkeeper.
Yeah, he plays for your team, right?
Yeah, he's I think 28, he's 29 now.
Wait, did he also play in Europe as well?
Yes, he played in Norway.
Yeah.
For me, he is the most valuable player in the country. For me, I think he is. For me, I think, and it's very personal choice, he is better than our ranking. I think he's outstanding. The way he has improved in the last 4-5 years has been outstanding. He's a great guy, somebody who is is a great apple to have in a team. Very talented, we all know about it, and also has leadership quality. So I think if I have to take one name, it will be Gurpreet Singh Sandhu.
Now, coming in from Ujwal Jain, how do you feel? What does it feel like to be ranked second among the active goal scorers? Now you're only behind Cristiano Ronaldo. You've scored more international goals than Lionel Messi. How does that make you feel?
So there is two things that I feel, and I hope people will understand where I'm coming from. First of all, there is no comparison in the kind of players we are. So all the 10 names that you see on the top goal scorers, there is no comparison in the kind of players we are. I'm a huge fan of Messi and Ronaldo both, and I really look up to them and I learn a lot from them. Okay, so whenever there's this sheet where people feel so proud, my countrymen, great, but don't look at the comparison. The second part is that I am fortunate to score 70+ goals for my country, and it's an absolute honor for me. I enjoy it, I cherish it. Sometimes I watch all my goals for my country, and till the time I play for my country, I will keep giving my best and try to score for my country, because that's the best feeling. To score for a country is a topmost feeling. So as many as I can get from a country, I'll keep doing my best.
Now, a question coming in from Darshan Jain. Did the foreign coaches make an impact in Indian football? Or do you feel that you should have more local coaches?
I think good coaches make an impact in Indian football. It does not matter which nationality the coaches are from. I think we shouldn't read too much about Spanish coach, Indian coach, French coach. The simple funda is you need good coaches to improve football. As simple as that. If you can get a good coach, it is good for your team. It should not matter which nationality the coach is coming from.
Now, let's just have a scroll through a few more questions. Okay, of course, we'll talk about your hair while we just wait for a few more to refresh. Completely different hairstyle, Sunil. Of course, you did mention before we got on this chat that you've had very short hair all your career. This, of course, different time. Is this like a statement, or are you just just going with the times?
I'm just going to blame my wife blatantly. I think when it grew, because we couldn't go to the barber in the lockdown, she suggested that you just keep long hair. And I said, you know what, I've never kept it. She's like, it's okay, keep it. There's no problem. And I said, I'm not too fussed about my look, so I'll keep it. So people who like it or people who don't like it, you can blame or thank my wife.
Now, Raghu Varma, he's back again. He said, sir, India and Argentina, if they clashed in football, who will win?
Argentina will win probably, because they are a top side, but we will love to play that game. I think we'll get hammered, and I just want to be honest, and don't take me wrong, because the game hasn't even started. I'm saying this, but it'll be an absolute honor. It'll be such a great feeling to play that game.
Now, have you been watching a lot of sport, recently, like with the Premier League and Champions League? Have you been keeping a close eye on the football that's going around?
Yeah, I do watch a lot of match. Not the late ones because it gets too late. But I've watched few games. I watched the Barca Madrid game. Then I watched few Premier League games. It's so good to watch live sports, And I watched the last Champions League. I watched the thrashing we got from Bayern Munich, the 8-8 scoreline for Barcelona. I watched the final. So yeah, whenever it's conducive and I can watch, I watch a lot of football.
Now you mentioned we, of course. Now you've given me the best sort of question to go for. Barcelona under Ronald Koeman. Of course, very different start. Lionel Messi isn't happy. In fact, the squad isn't happy. A lot of financial troubles emerging as well. What do you feel Barcelona have to do, to really kickstart their season?
Well, I think they already have the team. When you see the names, we keep talking about the word debacle. But if you see the name on the sheet, they are top players in the world. So I think it has to be given time. It's a new coach, new mentality. One of our own, Albert Roca, is there in Barcelona. It requires time. As a football player, I understand this. But as far as talent is concerned, you see the sheet and there are some top players there. Probably a number 9 is what Barca needs. But probably a defender. I mean, who am I to judge? Who am I to say? But yes, apart from that, it's a top class team.
And there's of course a lot of talk about Lionel Messi possibly, leaving during the summer. And Lionel Messi without Barcelona is probably saying, Indian football without Sunil Chhetri. I mean, it's just out there. Do you feel, as a Barcelona fan, what was going through your mind when you said Messi wanted out of Barcelona?
Well, see, first of all, when you read rumors, you understand. You don't have to take it seriously because you never know. There are so many conflicting news that came out, and I, as a player, I keep away from them. But yes, there is a chance that he's not happy there, and for the reasons that only he understands and he can tell. As far as I'm concerned, as a fan, if you have spent so many years in a club and you have done so well, and if the club can still stimulate your interest and your motivation, you should not leave. That's me as a fan speaking. Whatever happens, we'll know in the summer or in January. I hope as a fan he shouldn't leave, and the club should get back to winning ways and doing well. But then whatever decide he's the best player in the world, and I love watching him wherever he is. I just hope he plays as many years as possible.
And I just hope he doesn't go to Manchester City because, that would just ruin football. But now we have a question coming, and it will put you on the spot again. Sunil, if you had to name an international 11-a-side team, who would be, part of that squad, that starting room?
Well, I'll take hours to name that. Man.
Let's start with the back. Okay, your goalkeeper.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be a final finalist. First name that comes to your head. We'll go with that.
I'll go with Nair.
Okay, and right back and left back. So
you know what? Right back, I'll go with Dani Alves.
Dani Alves. Left back, are you going Alphonso Davies, Marcelo? Who do you have in mind?
I'll go with Alaba.
Okay, Alaba. And just to be sure, we're talking about current football players as well, just so we don't have to worry too much about what's going on. Okay. Centre back pairing.
Ooh, centre back. I'll go with Van Dijk.
Okay.
And I need a left footer. I'll go with Van Dijk. I'll go with PK. Even though it'll be difficult because he has to bring the ball back to his right side, but still, I'll go with PK and Van Dijk.
Yeah, of course, it's not going to be Harry Maguire. He's been awful. But your midfield, let's talk about your midfield. What sort of formation are you going for? Are you going to play 5 in midfield? Are you going to play
I'll play with 4-3-3.
Okay.
Our defensive midfielder, probably a little bit strange, but I'm a big fan. I'll go with Kante.
Oh, N'Golo Kante, of course. Yeah. The little man is a machine.
Yeah, I love his energy. He's one of those players that you want in your team. He will rub all good positive energy to everyone in the team. I'll go with him. I'll have De Bruyne ahead of him. And I'll have Lionel Messi with De Bruyne. So my 4-3 would be Conte, De Bruyne, and Messi.
Incredible. And then up top?
But as a number 9, I will have Cristiano Ronaldo. Because I think his best position is number 9. I want him inside the box whenever there are crosses. I think he's an unbelievable header, and he'll get you goals from nowhere. So as number 9, I'll have Ronaldo. I will have on the left side Neymar, coming from the left side, and on the right side, again a strange one, but I'll have Muller.
I feel Thomas Muller is so underrated though.
Yeah,
he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done in football.
He's
World Cup winner, Champions League
he's-
winner.
He's a top talent, and also why? Because he will do the defensive duties. You already have Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar probably not going to track back, so you'll have Muller there. Also, he's good in air. He's a big match player. He has goals in him, so that will probably be my first 11. And in about 10 minutes, I can give you one more first 11, which will equally match it. That's the way world football is. But this probably is because you put me in a spot. This is my first.
Of course. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Sunil Chhetri's 11-a-side team. Of course, I did put him on the spot there. Now we have another question coming in from Bikram. Your team is trailing 1-0. You have a free kick in the 90th minute. Who would step up to take it? Will it be you, Sunil? Will it be you?
90th minute. If I'm playing a BFC, I will take it.
Yeah.
And not because I'm arrogant, but because I would back myself. You know, the thing about penalties and free kicks, it's a great opportunity to give your team an advantage. So I would probably, because I trained so much for penalties and free kicks, I would give myself. Although we have got some few new signings, I don't know how good they are. But if there's somebody better than me, I will always go to him. Because at the end of the day, as a club, as a team, we just want goals. So the maximum probability, I'll go with that.
Now we have a question coming in from the tournament director of the SingaCup, P. Selvakumar. He says, how do you feel being invited to be part of eSingaCup 2020 along with Timmy Cahill and Stephan Lilpali?
Yeah, I feel honored. Thank you so much. I feel sad that this is how it's happening this year. You know, the 10th year probably you would want to, you know, make it nice and make it bigger and everyone coming together and enjoying it. But that's the way it is. But thank you so much for doing this at least. And I just hope next year, the 11th one, which is my jersey number, you can make it nicer and everyone can come together and enjoy it. All the very best, and thank you for making me a part of it.
Well, Sunil, we'll always, welcome you with open arms if you ever came to Singapore. Season 11, of course, if the pandemic all eases up and everything else. Now, of course, going forward, I'm sure you've got the ISL coming up. What are some of the other things you've been working on from a personal point of view? Have you been, doing a lot of reading, or in your off time, how do you like to spend your time?
I do read a lot now, Adrian. I think this is something that I've enjoyed a lot, and I kill myself saying, why didn't I start it early? It's one of the best things. I know a lot of kids would think it's boring, it's old school, but read. I mean, it's one of the best habits ever. I do read a lot. I try to meditate, and that's it. I'm quite boring. I train, I sleep, I snore. That's all I do. But yes, I enjoy reading a lot.
But at least you eat right, sleep well, and train harder. I think those are the three things.
Occupational hazard, my friend. You got to do that.
Of course, but it's working for you. I guess that's all that matters. Now, are you a superstitious person? Do you have any sort of routines that you do before every game?
I'm not superstitious, but I've got a very a fixed routine on my match day. There's a specific time that I get up, kind of eat the same stuff. I know what exactly works for me. The nap times are almost certain and it stays the same. I've got a massage appointment in the morning because the matches are in the evening. So it's a fixed routine which I generally don't like to be altered, but I'm not superstitious.
Now, who can be your replacement in the Indian football team? This question coming in, no name right now, but who have you identified as the replacement?
Maybe him.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe him.
No name.
I think where I want my country to reach, we need much better players than me. So for me, it's not only about my replacement, but there are so many young talents who got to do better than what I did. Because you know what, I really think that we got to, as soon as possible, reach the first in Asia and stay there. And for that, we need a lot of good players, much better players than me. So don't worry. I think it's coming more from the worry part. Don't worry. There are many players who will replace me and do better than me.
How about his name? His name is Ujwal Jain. He is back with another question. Now, what else do we have? Okay, Asian football in the next 5 years. Of course, it's grown, made huge strides. A lot more people following Asian football, Indian football as well. As a pioneer of Indian football, where would you like to see Asian football in the next 5 years?
I think hopefully doing really well in the World Cup. I think Japan really made us proud in the last World Cup. A lot of teams do really, really well in the World Cup. That is how we as Asia are going to do and put a strong foot forward. Whenever there's a top tournament, Asian teams doing well is always good for everyone in Asia, right to the last team from the top team. For us, India especially, I already said this, we are somewhere around 14 to 16 in Asia right now. We got to work hard and go to the top 10 and stay there. It is not going to be an easy task, but if you want to be known and if you want to rub your shoulders with the best in Asia, you got to stay there, and that's the way forward.
We have one final question coming in. I have a decision. I have to pick one. So I'm going to go with, how did the opportunity to move abroad come about for you? With those moves to Kansas City and Sporting Lisbon.
I gave many trials, my friend, whoever was asking this. I had a trial with Coventry. Chris Coleman was the coach then. I went there. He saw me. He told me that your touches and all are good, but you're not good enough to play in championship. So you have to get back. Then I had a few more trials. Then I gave a trial at QPR. It worked out. I got a contract, but the FA didn't allow me the work permit. Then I went to Kansas. I gave a trial for 10 days after them seeing my CV. After 10 days, they gave me a contract. So that's how it happened. Even after seeing the CV, I still had to go and give trials and then get selected.
I think no one can take away your contribution to football, particularly Indian football. Captain, fantastic. Sunil, Chhetri, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this eSingaCup webinar. And we hope you have a great ISL and wish you all the best with Bengaluru FC.
Thank you so much, Adrian. I wish everyone good health and safety in Singapore. And it was lovely, being here. Thank you so much. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
No peak too high to reach, no roads too long to seek. The highest mountain we'll climb. Oh, no valley that's too deep, nothing we can't achieve, 'cause nothing's breaking our stride. Hey, here we go, sing a roar, take the lead, sing a more, ole, 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 ole. Here we go, SingaCup, no we're not giving up, ole, 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 ole. Na na hoo, na 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 hoo, na 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 hoo, na 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 yeah yeah. Na na hoo, na 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 hoo.
Hi, my name is Rob Elijah Esquilla. I'm 10 years old. I'm a Filipino and I come from the Philippines. And my favorite club is FC Barcelona.
Hi, my name is Yasmin. I'm 13. I'm from Singapore and I support Man United.
My
everyone, this is Jasa Alquiros, Philippine football freestyler, and Kaya FC is my favorite club. And now guys, I want to show you about my skill.
I call home.
Our home. This is where we live amongst trees and carve them out of metal. Where impossibilities lead us to endless possibilities. This is where all that you're passionate about, all that drives you, is made possible. This is where passion is made possible.
No peak too high to reach, no roads too long to seek. The highest mountain we'll climb. Oh, no valley that's too deep, nothing we can't achieve, 'cause nothing's breaking our stride. Hey, here we go, sing a roar, take the lead, sing a more. Ole, 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 ole. Here we go, SingaCup, no we're not giving up. Ole, 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 ole. Na na hoot, na 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 hoot, na 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 hoot, na 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 yeah yeah. Na na hoot, na 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 hoot, na 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 hoot, na na yeah yeah yeah. We're headed for our dreams, gold opportunities, our heart connecting our mind. Oh, through it all, you and me will win eternally. Our future's looking so